All right. Good evening, everybody. I'd like to welcome everybody who's watching to the regular city council meeting for Galt for Tuesday, March the 16th. Due to the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic emergency, we have to handle our city council meetings much differently than we usually do for the protection of the public and our city staff. I'm now going to ask our city manager, Mr. Hines, to give a brief explanation to the public. Mr. Hines?
Yes, good evening. Give me just a second here. Good evening, everyone. This meeting of the Galt City Council is being conducted by a teleconference/video conference in compliance with the state and county stay-at-home orders and as allowed by the Governor's Executive Order N-29-20, which allows for a deviation of teleconference rules required by the Brown Act. Members of the public will see the council members and city staff who are appearing via remote video/telephone connections. City council meetings will be held virtually by teleconference or video conference until further notice. Today's agenda states that rather than attending in person, residents may submit written public comments via email to pubcom@cityofgalt.org prior to the council meeting. Any written comments that were received will be read out loud during the city council meeting by the city clerk on the appropriate agenda item, subject to the customary 5-minute time limit unless the same individual also appears and requests to speak live during the meeting. We will take the live comments first, and then the written comments will be read out loud. We are also using a Zoom webinar format, which allows the public to provide live public comment. Members of the public may use the link to enter the webinar as attendees. They should be able to use the raise their hand option in the Zoom webinar to let us know if they would like to speak or should do so when the mayor announces the time for general public comment or when the specific agenda item is called, if your comment concerns an agenda item. We request, as we typically do in person, that speakers provide their name and address when they are called on to speak and their line is unmuted, but doing so is not required. Attendees should also see the lower their hand feature if they change their mind and do not want to speak. That concludes my comments, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Hines. I'd like to now call the meeting to order. Ms. Hubert, if you could please do a roll call.
Vice Mayor Sandu,
Aye.
Councilmember Papineau,
Here.
Councilmember Vandenberg,
Here.
Councilmember Lozano,
Here.
Mayor Farmer.
Here. Thank you. All right, if you would now all join me in a silent prayer, followed by flag salute. All right, if you would now all join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Salute, pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, thank you. Ms. Hubert, if you would please read our replay statement.
This meeting of the Galt City Council will be cablecast on Metro Cable 14, the local government affairs channel, on the Comcast Consolidated Communications and AT&T Uverse cable systems. The meeting is closed captioned and webcast at www.sacmetrocable.tv. Today's meeting will air Friday, March 19th at 9 a.m. and Saturday, March 20th at 9 a.m. This meeting can also be viewed on Metro Cable's 14's YouTube channel.
All right, thank you. We'll now move on to item B, agenda approval, additions and or deletions. From council, do I have anything?
Mr. Mayor, I would like to pull that F4 due to the voting purpose.
Item F4, solid waste ordinance update. Okay, any other items, council? Okay. All right, then we will move on to item C, presentations. Ms. Hubert,
And none this evening.
thank you. We'll now move on to item D, public comment. Ms. Hubert,
Under Government Code Section 54954.3, members of the public may address the City Council on non-agenda items. The public comment section is for the City Council to receive comments, except for brief responses to questions. No discussion or action may be taken on any item that is not listed on the agenda. Please limit comments to a maximum of 5 minutes. Due to the statewide emergency and social distancing guidelines, public comments may be submitted via email to pubcom@cityofgalt.org and will be read out loud subject to the customary 5-minute time limitation. Also, members of the public may participate electronically via https://us02web.zoom.us/j//839-726-55796, webinar ID 839-726-55796.
thank you, Ms. Hubert. Do we have any written comment tonight?
I have received one written comment from Ann Torres. Good evening, Galt City Council. The Galt Reopen Schools and Community Support Parent Group would like to invite you to its upcoming rally to support reopening of schools to full-time instruction 5 days as soon as possible. It will be a peaceful, respectful rally to show the Galt schools and surrounding schools, example Arcoe, all need to be open full-time for in-person instruction. We are inviting family, children, friends, teachers, coaches, community members. We will be meeting at Littleton Community Center and plan to walk C Street on Tuesday, March 23rd from 3:30 to 5:30 p.m. Thank you for your support and participation. As our city's leaders, we appreciate your help on this critical matter. Our theme is full-time now. Have a good evening.
All right. Thank you, Ms. Torres. Thank you, Tina. Do we have any hands raised online, Rose?
We do not have any hands raised.
All right. Thank you. We'll move on to item E, reports by city council members on regional boards, commissions, and committees. We'll start with our vice mayor, Mr. Sandu.
Yes, sir. I have a Sacramento Transportation Authority meeting on April 11, 2021. They just do a very basic agenda item. A lot of item was in a consent calendar. The only thing I like to report back to the city council, toward the last year in July 2020, STA board voted to repeal the Measure A sale tax ordinance state for the November 2020 general election. The region board decided that to repeal the ordinance due to the pandemic, because we need to, in order to pass any measure, we have to, the citizen have to willing to do it. So this year, however, as the process to get Measure A on the 2020 ballot brought to the light, the transportation needs in Sacramento County exceed current funding level. As the region is entering into a new phase of pandemic and it looks like there is a light on the horizon, there has been requested by our partner agency to look at putting another measure on the November 2022 ballot. However, the STA staff wants to be vigilant with our finances and not move forward with education and outreach, as well as developing a expenditure plan if the taxpayer are not ready. Mean the staff bring a report if the taxpayer is not ready, and they were thinking we don't need it this time, but what we are doing, but they recommending, in order to best understanding where the public stand, staff recommended issue an RFP to hire a polling consultant to conduct a public survey in late summer 2021. The result of this polling will be brought to the governing board for discussion and vote on to move forward. That's why we decided, and everybody agree and support the public polling survey. And I believe this might be a little bit money, but it's not that much money. So then from the survey, I believe have a good idea how the public wants to be the measure in 2022. And that's why I support it, and most of the board support this request for proposal for polling consultant. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor. Thanks for sharing that with us. Councilmember Papineau.
I haven't had any committee meetings since our last board meeting. Thanks.
All right, thank you, sir. Councilmember Vandenberg.
I have nothing to report as well.
Thank you, sir. Councilmember Lozano.
Yeah, I have just one thing to report on. The Policy and Innovation Committee that I sit on for SACOG met on the 8th, which was last Monday. And lots of things were discussed, but most importantly, I think was the advocacy update. And as you all are aware, SACOG has been embarking on a Green Means Go pilot program, pitching that to the state, saying, if you're going to require us to have this 19% reduction in greenhouse gas emissions, you're going to have to help. And as I mentioned in our last update, the state CARB, California Air Resources Board, acknowledges that the 19% is going to be difficult to achieve without state help. And so Green Means Go is this mechanism which SACOG believes that it will help get us to that 19%. The interesting thing is we've been approaching it from a budget standpoint the last 2 years and are continuing down that road. But in addition, Kevin McCarty out of Sacramento, assembly member, has written AB 1209, which is an effort to help in this Green Means Go effort from a legislative perspective. So a lot more to come on that. I believe part of the update was that there were folks thinking that the governor was not going to be taking a stand on a lot of legislation that he has in the past, and he certainly wouldn't, at least in this first year of the 2-year cycle, be inclined to sign controversial legislation, which this could be at the end of the day, because it's really focused on Sacramento region, and we're trying to hold the state's feet to the fire as it relates to unfunded state mandates. And so anyhow, there seems to be some thought out there that the recall effort has gained enough momentum that it's that the governor is going to choose to do things a little differently this year. And so the thought is that maybe this some of this legislation will go into a 2-year cycle rather than one. So just kind of keep an eye on that. I'll continue to report out, but we are moving forward on it because again, the state has these mandates, and they don't supply any legislation and or funding for local agencies to take care of it. So other than that, we talked a little bit about roadway pricing and how to come to roadway pricing and what that really means. And it kind of speaks to what Vice Mayor Sandhu was talking about in terms of the funding in the region, certainly in the Sacramento area, is the need outweighs the funding. And so we're going to have to get creative to come up with ways to address that long term. One of the things that, and I agree with Vice Mayor on moving forward on a public survey, I would just caution that the last time there was a public survey done, the STA board as a group, not everyone on the board, but as a majority, didn't really listen to the public survey. And so I'm so glad COVID came for that particular reason, because that was the wrong way to put the Measure A on the ballot. And I'm glad that didn't happen. But so just kind of be aware of that as we move forward. And that's it. I do have a SACOG meeting on Thursday that I'll attend. And I just wanted to kind of give Councilmember Papineau a little bit of a heads up. The April SACOG meeting, which is April 16th, I believe. Yeah, it is the 16th, Thursday. I'll be out of state. And so I'll ask Councilmember Papineau to step in on that on my behalf. So, and as we're talking about it, that following Tuesday is a council meeting and I will still be out of town. So if we are meeting in person, I may not be able to make it. If we're meeting on Zoom, hopefully we're not, but if that's the case, I will be able to attend. So that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. And we will of course make any accommodations we can if you're whether we're still in Zoom or live or whatever to make sure you can participate. And thanks for sharing that information. It's funny you mentioned the information about the mandates and not creating funding to help with those. It seems like a familiar narrative these days. So thank you, Mr. Lozano. And for myself, I did not attend anything since our last council meeting. I do have a Galt public safety meeting coming up, and then also a Sacramento County Library Authority meeting between now and the next. So we'll be able to report back from some of those. But other than that, I don't have anything else. So with that, if there is any, do I need to ask for public comment on this? I don't, right, Tina? Or do I?
No.
I don't think so. Okay. All right, we'll move on to our consent calendar. And Vice Mayor Sandu pulled item F4. So items F1, 2, and 3, I will read those. It is recommended that we adopt items 1 through 3 to be acted on simultaneously and separate unless a separate discussion and or action is requested by a council member. Item 1 is the minutes of the regular meeting for March 2nd, 2021. Item 2 is to receive and file warrants for a period ending March 2nd, 2021. And item F3 is the annual 2030 Galt General Plan and Housing Element Progress Report for 2020. I will entertain a motion to approve those 3 items.
So moved.
Moved by Councilmember Lozano,
Second,
seconded by Vice Mayor Sandu. If I could please have a roll call vote.
Vice Mayor Sandu,
aye.
Councilmember Papineau,
Aye.
Councilmember Vandenberg,
Aye.
Councilmember Lozano,
Aye.
Mayor Farmer.
Aye. Motion passes 5-0. We'll now move on to item F4, which was pulled by our Vice Mayor, if you will, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The reason I pulled from the consent calendar because I want to make sure that votes go to the right way. So I'm still standing on that. I'm not going to go to detail. It's just very basic. I'm going to stand still the same statement the last city meeting. I cannot support it this time because this is a very framework, nothing detail on that. And then also it's too early I do not want to be the first city to have on the small business the rate increase. That the reason I was pulled that item out. And thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor. I too actually was planning on pulling this just for some questions that I had. And again, I apologize for our last meeting was very long. We had the CAFR, and to be honest with you, a lot of my focus was in the 5 days when I had my counselor packet to the meeting. Plus, I was out of town for work. Was focused on the CAFR and questions, and didn't really get to dig really deep into the municipal code of the waste. I know we had a lot of questions last meeting, and I do apologize. I know Mike Selling is not here tonight, unfortunately, to answer maybe any of his concerns. But some of the concerns after hearing the vote last time, was a split vote, and so I kind of wanted to dig into a little deeper to look at this and kind of, I know we've all had presentations about some of this in the past, but we have so many things between then and now that a lot of it, gets kind of. We need a refresher on it. And so some of my concerns basically, and I just want to bring up a couple questions maybe, and if they can't get answered, I understand it might be difficult without Mike here, but hopefully maybe Harriet or Mr. Our city manager can can help, but mainly it has to do with. So first of all, I did a bunch of research, and I spoke with a lady from Elk Grove who actually is the recycling and waste manager for the city of Elk Grove, and she has a staff, and her whole job position is to deal with this for the city of Elk Grove. It's a full-time position that they have, and she was very knowledgeable, and I appreciate her insight to the SB 1383 and all that, and just trying to understand more about it and how it pertains to the municipal code that we are trying to come up with here. And I know that this is a framework, and so I get that. I know that last time we talked about trying to get into the details and kind of make it more specific, but I feel like us changing the municipal code, which is something we have to do. And by the way, Elk Grove is in the process of doing theirs as well. They have not yet, but they are in the process of it. They hope to do that by late summer, is what I was told. I did speak to the city manager, Jason Berman, this afternoon as well, and I got some insight from him on how they're proceeding with this as well. So I've talked to many people on this, including someone from Cal Waste. And what I'm worried about is in the municipal code, it doesn't really address the residential side of this. What I was told is that what's different between SB 1383 and AB 1826, I believe I have the right number, is that this is going to be focusing on not only a stricter diversion, where we're going down to like a 10-gallon minimum, 10 gallons of organic is the threshold, which is very low, but it's also going to include residential. And so I'm not sure, and I sent Mr. Hines a question. I apologize, sir, to hit you with that question late in the day, but I was trying to understand if what we're doing with the residential side in Galt, because Elk Grove, what they're doing is, so the residents are going to keep the 3-cart system, which is what we have, and the yard waste, which is the green can for us, will actually then double as the organic. So that will be all encompassed in that, and they're going to compost that. So that will make them compliant. So one of my first questions is that what we're going to be doing with the residential service in Galt, is doing a combination can? Because there was never a discussion in the last meeting about the residents having a 4th can, because I know the businesses having an additional can. So if someone can answer that first question.
Right. So the reason why there was no discussion is because those details are still being worked out between the city and Cal Waste. And so the reason for last week's meeting and the reason for this ordinance is to make sure that our municipal code is in line with state requirements. We, as we mentioned in the staff report, we anticipate that amendments will be made to this section as we go through and we start to implement this program. The details, the number of carts, all that's to be worked out between the city and Cal Waste. We will do our best to make sure that it's as convenient as possible for both the commercial users and the residential users, but there are certain details that we need to work out as far as implementation. The ordinance that you see before you, which was passed 3-2, is merely an ordinance to bring our code in line with state law. And so that's all it does. The implications going forward, we will work out with Cal Waste. And as we bring those things and as we come to a resolution, we will be bringing those program features before council for their review.
Well, I appreciate those answers. And I get that, right, that is a framework. But what my concern is that you say we're doing this to bring it in, in compliance or aligning it with the state mandates, but it's not just that there's some details that are left out. I feel like there's some language, which is new language in this, that, for example, just to give you a couple examples. So on section 81620 and 81625, it says that multifamily and commercial shall be provided with containers for recyclables, green waste, and or organic waste. So this is referring to businesses. But on the residential part, it basically says there to be provided containers for solid waste, green waste, and recyclables, but it doesn't mention anything about organic. So what I'm worried about is we've now, there's considerable changes that are in here. I've seen all the struck items and the stuff that's been changed in the verbiage, and there's a lot of it in there, but I feel like with that much verbiage change that we're missing some of the main key elements. For example, it doesn't even say, based on what the changes I'm seeing, it doesn't even make mention that a resident is going to need to be compliant with organic diversion. It doesn't even doesn't even mention the word organics at all regarding residential anywhere in this changes. So that was one thing. The other one is that, and I know details about cans and pickups and are we going to have an extra weekly pickup if we do combine with the yard waste? Because Right now, those are picked up every other week. I know all those details got to be sorted out, and I remember that conversation. But again, I'm only concerned with if we're voting on this to bring it up to speed. I feel like if we're doing that now and then we're going to just be amending it, why not get the language more correct before we do it? I mean, like I said, Elk Grove isn't even having theirs changed in effect. They're actually working on that now with their waste provider, and then they're going to bring it before their council in late summer. Now, I'm not saying we should wait last minute. I agree. We want to get ahead of this. But I just, there's a lot of verbiage that's been changed in here. A lot of the definitions that have been changed that are very, very confusing where it makes reference to organics as being such things as paper and cardboard. And then below that, in the very next line, it says that recyclables consist of XYZ. It doesn't even mention cardboard. I mentioned all this to the representative Cal Waste I spoke to, and the response was, well, it is very confusing to the end user. We realize it's very confusing, and we understand that that's going to be a struggle. And so, I feel like everybody's really kind of trying to understand this bill, and it's very tricky. And obviously we're all trying to deal with it as cities, and we didn't create it. We're just trying to be compliant with it. But again, I circle back to what the vice mayor was saying. And I think, maybe this, I don't know how, I know Councilmember Vandenberg voted against this as well. I think I felt that his feeling was that there was just more work that needed to be done. So I'm not opposed to moving this thing forward, but I just feel like, there's a lot of unanswered questions still. And I don't think that this thing is by any means close to being compliant. I mean, all we did is change some verbiage, but there's some big pieces missing in this. And based on my research and the people I spoke to, I think that for us to pass, change the ordinance, I feel like we're changing it, like we're changing part of it, but then we're going to keep adding to it. I don't know why. Is there a particular reason why we couldn't just get all these details ironed out and then come back with a completed version of this code and say, okay, here's the code. We went through it.
Yeah.
It's okay. Go ahead.
I think you hit on it a minute ago. We don't want to wait to the last minute. We want to get this framework in place and then figure out programmatically how we're going to roll this out and inform the customers of Cal Waste, so we don't have a repeat of what's happened before with rate increases. And so we wanted to get started on this early in the year. And there's a lot of significant items coming before council in the next 3 months. And we wanted to get this in front of council and get this passed now so we can start working with Cal Waste. So at some point during the summer, most likely July or late June, we will come back with more discussion on this issue, and we can hold a study session and we can talk about these concerns that you have. But we have some pretty significant items coming to you between April and May.
Well,
And so we wanted to get this in front of council now. Now, we worked with Cal Recycle on these amendments. They have pretty much assured us that this is the framework that's needed to make sure that you're complying with 1383. Once that's done, then you folks can work programmatically with Cal Waste and make sure that we do this program the right way. Now, as far as organics and residential, we'll make sure that we address that, and I'll talk to Cal Waste, and I'll have Mike talk to Cal Recycle, and we'll have an answer for you there. But it sounds like we probably need a study session sometime in June.
Ms. Steiner, did you have?
So I was just going to note also that while the focus has been on 1383, this ordinance also brings your solid waste ordinance up to date from 2007, the last time you amended it, through to now. And so there's a whole lot of amendments in the ordinance that address earlier recycling bills or earlier sorting bills and the like, where a lot of which you're already doing, but your ordinance is non-compliant. So the idea was to bring the ordinance up to current law and have the recycling requirements, et cetera, in there, and then 1383 as a framework so that we could then have that basis to start, having a study session and talking about 1383 and the organics, and then getting your entire program up and running by the end of the year. So that's why you see different types of amendments in the ordinances. Some of them address laws that went into effect several years ago, and some of them address 1383, which is to set the framework for those so that we can then start working with Cal Waste to make sure that they implement it on time and to make sure that the public gets a say-so in how that all happens.
the bills that are also reflected are AB 341 and AB 1826 are also part of those changes that have occurred since 2007, and this code section hasn't been amended. And a lot of the confusion is this code section that was last amended in 2007. Is that what I heard you say, Harriet? That code section should have been amended in 2011. It should have been amended in 2014. And so we are long past due to amend this section. And so we're playing catch up. And so we wanted to aggressively make sure that this code section is up to speed and compliant with state law.
Well, and I appreciate all those comments, and thank you, Harriet, for your elaborating on that. And that makes sense that we're bringing up, some outdated stuff up into compliance with the 341 and the 1826. I think all the council would agree with me that I just want to make sure we are doing our diligence, because we just want to make sure that we get things right. We went through a really bad spell, and the only council members, Mr. Lozano and Mr. Sandu would remember, the fallout that happened last time, because we felt like things kind of got rushed through. And so I'm only doing this out of an exercise of caution to make sure that, we're asking all the right things, and we're not just going to do a whole, I know that, like you said, we all can agree that this needs to be passed. We have to update our municipal code. I agree with that. But last time there was also an understanding that a new contract needed to be renewed with the waste provider. That still doesn't mean that it's okay just to rush into something. Again, I'm not opposed to moving this forward, but like I said, I just felt like, and I think some of your answers, Mr. Hines and Ms. Steiner's answers some of my questions, where that this is a work in progress. We're not done updating this. This is just a framework, and I get that. I just wanted to highlight my concerns, and I wanted to address one concern that I think Mr. Sandu has, because again, this was a split vote, and I struggle with things being pushed forward on a split vote, and then they're pushed forward again on a split vote. I would like to see some of the concerns with the council members that voted against this, their concerns addressed, so that maybe we can have a more uniformed consensus going forward. So just real quick, Mr. Hines, sorry to cut you off, but Vice Mayor Sandu, I did find out, I know one concern I think of yours was the enforcement part. Why are we doing this so early? Because if we're not going to need to require this before January, what I've been told is the consensus amongst a couple different cities is that, we have to get our municipal code and all those things in place as a jurisdiction, as a city, to be compliant with Cal Recycle by January. From that point forward, from 2022 to 2024, when the real enforcement happens from the city to the actual residents, Cal Recycle will then step aside. It is going to be more of an educational approach, working with the businesses, trying to get them compliant, get this programs in operation. And as long as we're doing that, we can be compliant. I did not hear anything in all the people I spoke with that said that there's going to be a heavy hand come down from the city of Galt on a business, as come, January 1st, 2022. So if the vice mayor's concern is that we're going to just start dropping the hammer on somebody when we don't need to just yet, I think this is a work in progress, and that's the consensus that I got. I don't know if that helps.
So let me, first of all, I'm going to yield the floor to Councilman Lozano. He raised his hand a second ago.
Yes, go ahead, council member.
I want to point out that my technology skills are raising quite quickly. I was able to officially raise my hand on Zoom. So I just have a quick question. I would agree with Mr. Hines that we do need to bring this back for a study session. We spoke a lot about it amongst the council 2 weeks ago. I had time to go through and answer some of those questions to my satisfaction in talking with staff. Spending a lot of staff time, quite honestly, the last 2 weeks on many items and getting that clarification ahead of time. I am, like I said before, I am comfortable moving forward with this. I think that if we want to, and I don't want to stifle any conversation at all, that's not my point, but I do believe that we do need to bring this back for a full discussion beyond the framework. If you look at a lot of what we're doing here, it is catch up from 2007 law. And one example for the public, if they haven't read the staff report, we're we're capitalizing director of finance or designee. In the original code, it was not capitalized. We're changing containers to residential containers and changing things like garbage to integrated waste, multi-unit residential buildings to multifamily. So a lot of what this is, it is, you're right, a framework. I didn't know a collector had to be changed from a contractor, but apparently it does. And so we need to catch up on that stuff. How we roll this out, and I heard Rudy Vacarezza say this very clearly, I believe, the other night, two weeks ago. There is a lot of work to do on this. And I think that our private partner that we have a contract with is very aware, certainly from me personally, but certainly from the business community, that there is some angst and we want to make sure we get it right. So I don't want to belabor my point. My point is only that I'm ready to move on this, but I do want it to come back for a healthy discussion about how we roll some of this stuff out, and specifically to the business. I'm sorry, to the residential piece. I think it's I think it's really, when you look at it, it's really an easy fix for residential. You just add into green waste and you add another card if somebody needs it. I mean, there's going to be a little bit of an expense, but that's how you move forward, I believe. But so that's just the point I wanted to make, and I just also wanted to acknowledge the fact that I raised my hand virtually for the first time, I think.
Very good, sir. So, Mr. Mayor, if I may, the one thing that I want to make clear with this conversation is we're not discussing the contract that happened a couple of years ago. That was a contract, that was an agreement that the city had with the private waste provider. And yes, there were certain collateral issues that resulted from that agreement. This particular conversation is about cleanup legislation to bring us into conformance with state law. It just happens to be in the solid waste area. As a result of that cleanup legislation and the 3 bills that we're trying to catch up with and make sure that our code is compliant with, we're going to have to make some programmatic modifications to implement these things. Once we get this ordinance passed, we will be working with Cal Waste on the programmatic modifications. Those modifications will not be implemented until it comes back to council for a discussion. So both council and the public at large can participate in Cal Waste and the city's resolution of creating these program modifications. I can tell you, as your now city manager, that any communication issues that we've had in the past between Cal Waste customers and the city's customers regarding programs, rate increases, implications of new programs, those may have been problems in the past. They will not be problems in currently. And so I say that statement not only for the public to hear, but also for Cal Waste to hear. And so we will make sure that once we put this program together, we will bring it back so the 5 of you can discuss it at a study session, and Mike will lead it, and we will have Cal Waste on the line, and we'll have Cal Recycle on the line, and we'll have a discussion. We will be as transparent as we can be about this particular program. And so if there's questions about residential organics or commercial organics, everyone will know by the time we're done with that study session exactly what their situations will be come January 1st. And they will know it, hopefully, 5 to 6 months ahead of time so they can prepare. And it won't be a November, December surprise. We want to make sure everybody has good information as early as possible.
All right. Well, I appreciate that. And I think that's, at least for me, and maybe hopefully some of the other council members, is we are just looking for those reassurances. That communication breakdown you mentioned was a big piece. We have, and for those of you who don't know it, our residential customers are customers of the city, whereas the commercial customers are actually customers directly to Cal Waste. And I think that's where you get a little bit of like, the city saying, well, it's not really our responsibility to deal with the commercial businesses because we don't, saying, whereas it's very much our responsibility. And so as a duty, I think, to do that. So I appreciate your comments, Mr. Hines, and I agree with what Councilmember Lozano was saying and what you just said we would happen. Definitely want a study session. I would like all the pieces, Cal Recycle representatives, Cal Waste representatives, and I want to be able to ask them these questions. I would like to see, an update in a couple months, as soon as you guys are actually able to sit down with Cal Waste and sort through some of these things. I would like that, to have that study session, while it's stuff's still fresh in our minds, and that we can be privy to those ongoing things.
We will try to have it ready for you by the end of June. We've got to get through a few things in April, and then we've got budget, and then probably the first or second meeting of June.
Vice Mayor Sandu, I think Councilmember Vandenberg had his hand up real quick, and then I'll come back to you, Vice Mayor. Mr. Vandenberg, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. So I'm wondering, part of the, how do you put this? First of all, I guess this city feels like it can't really move forward with informing the businesses, and correct me if I'm understanding this incorrectly, but you can't move forward with informing the businesses until we get this framework passed, and we can, because otherwise you would be basing everything on very old code, right? So I didn't see it specifically mentioned, and the mayor touched on it. Someone mentioned to me, they noticed that my question was never answered. This will be a requirement of each individual household or residence. Yes, that we split our refuse further and or add it to the green waste.
That is correct.
Okay.
AB 1383 requires 50% reduction in organics by 2020, and it increases the reduction to 75% by 2025. So yes, so there is a concerted effort to divert organics from the landfills.
Okay, so when you say reduction, you mean strict, okay, that's good.
Mm-hmm.
Is there, because of COVID-19, what efforts, if any, have been put to Assemblyman Cooper or Eggman to maybe make emergency legislation to delay this, because as far as I know, little to no businesses have received any relief from the government monetarily because of COVID-19. So they're still struggling through. They haven't gotten any help that was promised, as far as I know. So, as soon as they get a chance to get their feet under them, we're going to hit them with another $100 a month, or 167, I believe it was. Is there any effort to extend this? It doesn't seem unreasonable to me.
Councilmember Vandenberg, I can answer that question for you. I did ask that very question to several people that seemed very knowledgeable, and the consensus was that unfortunately there really hasn't been any. This is something they said was long moving and going forward before COVID. They're not basically giving any concessions because of COVID. They're not going to delay it. They're not going to push the mandate dates back because of COVID. There's been discussion of that, but nothing has happened. Nobody anticipates anything like that to happen. They're digging, basically it's going to proceed forward, unfortunately.
So then what is the earliest we can start educating the businesses and or citizens?
We can start doing it now.
When we have the study session in June.
Okay. So you need this, right? I just want this out in the public record, right? So you need this framework done, study session, more defined code,
yes.
And then you can start.
And also in the study session, we will lay out our communication plans to the public as well. And so there should be no surprises with this, whatever what this program implementation is. There should be no surprises, and I'll ensure that there are no surprises.
Okay. I did speak with the individual from Cal Waste that was very, willing, and this was not Rudy Vaccarezza, but saying we're willing to work with the city, even with the Chamber of Commerce, whatever organization, to make these educational visits, in person, face to face, a coordinated effort, so we don't, no one slips through the cracks. We're not just going to send out a mailer and hopefully they get it and stuff like that. So I felt good about that gesture. from them today about being willing to go above and beyond. We know that didn't happen real well last time, for those of you that were here then. Yeah, we just, I believe you at your word, Lorenzo, when you said that we're not going to make those same mistakes again. I'm putting a lot of faith in you that that's going to be the case. So thank you for those
Right.
comments.
Right. Again, I make that statement for the public to hear, for the council to hear, and for Cal Waste to hear.
Vice Mayor Sandu, I'll come to you next, Councilmember Papineau, after the Vice Mayor speaks. Go ahead.
Oh, me first?
Paul, I actually was supposed to go to Paul after Councilman Vandenberg. So Mr. Sandu, go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to make sure I want to be clarification on that, why my region was not supporting this. I totally understand the state mandate. And same thing, Harriet, she explained it was done 2007, it was not done. And who's that fault? I do, and I do understand. I'm just only this mandate. I did agree with that. The only thing I believing in on this thing, we are a little bit too rushed to judgment. Maybe 3 months, maybe 2 months. You look at the only thing is I was looking at, because I have the experience. I'm looking at, are we moving as compared to the other city? Some of the city they bring it back on the summer, and the framework means I don't know. Mr. Hines might be know better than this.
Well,
Mr. Hines, it's my time. Let me.
Yeah, I'm sorry, sir. My apologies.
Because I'm talking about this thing. It's not. I mean, I just need to little bit more information, because it may be. I don't know. It may be if we don't pass, you staff cannot talk to the call waste. I like to something bring a little bit more on that, so I be satisfied to move forward. I does not want to be the same thing for city, and it might be. You mentioned, just mentioned, is a study session. Maybe next month or month after that, a study session. There is more thing, bring them up on that, and I be more satisfied to move forward. So I just want to send everybody message. I'm not against this ordinance. This ordinance have to pass, just on the timing. Because if we don't do like in last 7 years, that's why we have that. So that's not like in 2-3 months. I'm not asking it should we go to next year or whatever. But I know there is a I think next year we have to implement. And that's, I just want to make sure everybody clear on that, why I'm against it.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor. Mr. Hines.
Nothing further. I think I've made my point.
Okay. Yeah, and I think in all fairness too, none of us were here 7 years ago. None of us were here probably 6 or 5 years ago. So, why that wasn't done, shame on whoever was in charge then. I know it wasn't any of us. So obviously we can only move forward in the right direction. Mr. Papineau, you had a comment. Sorry.
Yeah, no worries. So yeah, that was my, initial question last night or last meeting rather, was, does this ordinance, as we're looking at it, bring us into compliance with the new state laws? And, state laws, as we've now learned, going back over a decade and a half. In order to start this discussion, we, the city, the businesses and citizens are all tied to operate under these California laws. Currently, we don't have a concise group so that somebody can look, go to our website and look and say, what is the ordinance regarding solid waste? That's going to be the start of this discussion. And I think the sooner we start that discussion and are able to work toward, what's going to be the best workable and, frankly, most economical solution, especially for our businesses, the better. We have a luxury of being a small city with a manageable number of businesses and a manageable population and a very cooperative provider, contractor that can work with and is willing to work with in those discussions that, frankly, the bigger cities can't. They don't have the luxury to do that, and probably don't really care to do it. So I think the sooner that we have a concise gathering of what are the regulations that we're working in, the sooner all sides can come to the table and bring their suggestions. I think that, we, Mike Selling, we, Cal Waste, may not have all the answers. And the sooner that some businesses can look at the regulations and maybe throw out their ideas of, hey, will this work? We can come up with something that other cities, frankly, wouldn't be able to. So, I think the sooner we get the guidelines clearly understandable for everybody to reference, the sooner we can start the discussions and we can be productive without a last minute push or late surprises. So that's why I voted last time to move this forward, and would still encourage moving it forward. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I think where I want to clarify to the vice mayor is when I spoke to Elk Grove and they said that they were going to be having theirs done at the end of the summer. I think what they're doing is they're just going to come at it all at once. Where I think that, from my understanding and what our city manager has explained, is we're kind of putting together a framework, and then we're going to just slowly amend it until we get it to where we, everything, all the, the I's are dotted and the T's are crossed. Probably maybe around the same time at the end of summer. I think if we have that study session around the end of June, or hopefully as soon as possible. I understand we have a lot of important business we have to attend to, so hopefully we can get it as soon as we can get it on the calendar. That's important. So again, I just like I said, there's a lot of talk about trash in this town, and people always say, well, the last contract was trash, and so I just want to throw that out there. Make sure we go about this very cautiously, and anything that has to do with waste, we want to be very methodical. I just have one last question for Harriet, and then I'll move look for a motion on this. The guidelines for this, we were given something from Cal Recycle that says this is like a template of what you should do, or did we just basically, are we coming this up on our own? Do you know, Harriet?
My understanding is this was based on a template together with all the other things that needed to go into your ordinance. But I couldn't swear to that.
Okay.
But that's my understanding. And just as a reminder, I don't know if there's public comment, but you do need to take public comment.
Yeah,
on it.
I realize that. Yeah. So, okay. Well, if I don't have any other comments from council, we will go to the public to see if there's any comment. Tina, do we have any written comment on this subject?
No written comment.
And Rose, do we have any hands raised online?
We do have a hand raised online. We have Mr. Harry Wenzel. Harry, go ahead, unmute your line, please.
Just a little bit of input here. Just based on being somewhat involved in the aftermath of the trash deal, I think for the general public, I think what we want to know is, are we going to change our process? And if so, what is that going to cost? Now, what came about from the last meeting I went back and watched on video was that the price for the bins and the cans was already determined in the last contract. So that wasn't anything new. I'm wondering, and you don't have to give me answers tonight, I know we're limited on time, but as this goes on, is that the same would that be the same for the residential? Is there already, like, you get one more can, you get one more amount? I think that would be good to know. And even if you can't, I think citizens should know that. They just want to know, what do you want me to do different? And what's that going to cost for me to do that different? And then, why are we doing it that way? What are the options? Like, if you're going to combine them in a can, that seems fairly easy. And I think moving forward, that would be something that would help develop a little bit more trust. And not just, I mean, the surprise is, now we're gonna all meet. And you got, as a citizen, you've got 5 days to kind of read this and have your input. And there's a lot of people, they're busy too. Another thought that I had as I listened to the discussion is, if the state legislature is not going to, say, give us 36 months before we have to implement this kind of thing, and And COVID doesn't count in this case. Okay, so be it. But in that case, can we take our shuttered businesses and can we say, okay, we're meeting, we're complying. These guys don't even create trash anymore. COVID killed them. So that's another thought. And I was a little bit, I think what needs to be fleshed out too, I heard, like there's some compliance due in 25, some compliance due in 21. And if we just had a simple schedule so we know when these happen for the public, just a smaller framework to work in, the public isn't going to be able to deal with the bills. They're too hard to read and they don't have the time to read those bills. And as far as the new ordinance goes, I don't know. We've been doing this since 2007. I don't know that a couple of months difference is going to make a big difference. I think most citizens would be neutral on that and they leave that to the city council. But the biggest blowback you're going to get is if suddenly you have, you've got an extra can, an extra process, an extra expense, and there is no real reason why. One more thought, and then I'll just hand the microphone back over. And that is, if I remember right, in the contract with Cal Waste, they raise the rate 1% every year, no matter what. If the economy goes to hell, they raise it 1%. But I believe they also have an index there. It's the trash something or other index. And I could be wrong on that. But I guess the thing that ought to be brought and made public is, so what are these new ordinances going to do to the rates? So if Cal Waste says, yeah, well, the reason that this index really counts is because, we had to pick up more cans. And the public's going to say, why'd you have to pick up more cans? We could have just put it in the green waste. So I think that should at least be, brought to the forefront. It may just be, well, too bad. That's the way the contract went, and that's too bad. But the public wants to at least hear, well, too bad. That's the way it went. And anyway, that's all I have. I don't expect answers tonight. I know there's a lot of work to do on this, and I just want to say thank you. I know how hard all the council members are working on all of this. And so I'm sure you guys, I always trust council to come up with the right answer. Sometimes it's not popular, but I go with what council says. So thank you for allowing me to express myself.
Thank you, Mr. Wenzel. I appreciate your comments. Do we have any other hands raised online, Rose?
We do not. Oh, excuse me. We do have one more hand raised. Mr. Todd Snyder.
Mr. Snyder, go ahead.
Hello, good evening. I just wanted to say that I was online listening and we heard all your concerns and Cal Waste is here to help. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Snyder. No additional hands, I assume?
No additional hands.
Yeah, Mr. Wenzel, just to address your questions, we're going to make sure that we educate not only businesses, but the contract is a contract. Our rates are in there. It's just, how do we work out the logistics of all that? But just a quick thing, how you ask why it would cost more. Well, Jason Berman, the city manager of Elk Grove, told me today that what they're trying to work out is if they mix their organics with their yard waste in the same can, they can't go every other week. So they're going to have their waste hauler do a pickup every week instead of every other week. And there's a huge cost in doing that. And that's where you have additional costs involved. So just to answer that one piece, to give you some insight on that. So not to continue on this conversation, I think we've had a really robust conversation about it again. I appreciate everybody's patience and hearing all the comments and all of us. So at this point, with no further public comment and no hands raised, I will entertain a motion to approve item F4, which is to adopt an ordinance 2021/02 amending the Galt Municipal Code, Chapter 8.16, garbage. On March the 2nd, 2021, the City Council introduced the ordinance and waived further reading. Do I have a motion to approve this?
I'll move to approve.
Moved by Councilmember Papineau.
Second.
Seconded by Councilmember Lozano. And please have a roll call vote, Ms. Hubert.
Vice Mayor Sandu,
Not at this time.
Councilmember Papineau,
Aye.
Councilmember Vandenberg,
Aye.
Councilmember Lozano,
Aye.
Mayor Farmer.
Aye. Motion passes 4-1. Thank you. Appreciate all the comments on this matter. We're now moving on to item G, which is the schedule matters notice of public hearing. Do we have anything on that tonight, Ms. Hubert?
We do not.
All right. Moving on to item H, our regular calendar. First item is going to be from our city manager's office, subject the coronavirus COVID-19 update. Mr. Hines.
Yes. Can everyone see the PowerPoint?
Yes, sir.
Alrighty, great, great. All right, so this is our COVID-19 update for March 16th, 2020. So the attached grid, or the grid on the screen, lays out the activity since our last council meeting. You can see that in Sac County, the number of cases have gone up only 2%. The number of deaths, however, have gone up 5%. And so while the pandemic is slowing down, it is still present. The number of cases in Galt have gone up 2%. The number of deaths, we lost one additional soul during this time period, and it's gone up 2%. So as I mentioned, the pandemic is still present, but not as present. Sacramento County has moved into the red tier as of noon today. And so we have a 8% new COVID cases per day, per 100,000 in population. Now, under the old statement, the red tier needed to be under 7 daily cases. However, we are down, our 8 is down from 12 cases per day on as of our last council meeting. We have a 3.2% positivity rate, and we are below the old red tier standard for positivity rates. We're also down from 4.7 at our last council meeting. Greater Sacramento region ICU capacity is currently at 28.2%, which is up from 23.5. So the numbers are going the right way. We wanted to make sure that we informed the council and our businesses that may be watching what the red tier means, and that for restaurants, it means you can open indoors at 25% of capacity or 100 people, whichever is fewer. Wineries, breweries, and distilleries, effective March 13th, 2021, closed indoors, open outdoors with restrictions. And you can have reservations, a 90-minute time limit, seating at tables only, and limited hours. Bars are still closed. And so we're shooting for the orange tier next. As far as the vaccination effort, there's dedicated drive-through vaccination clinics are now available for those folks who are 65 and older. These vaccination clinics are open all over Sac County. You have to track these clinics through the Vaccinate Sacramento webpage, and it contains the most up-to-date vaccine information, and the URL is right there. Staff continues to push information out via social media and the website with current vaccination clinics. Sacramento County continues to vaccinate those individuals in phase 1B. And that would be individuals that are 65 and older, law enforcement and emergency service workers, childcare, education, food and agriculture, congregate settings with outbreak risk, such as incarcerated individuals and homeless. March 15th, the county began vaccinating individuals age 16 to 64 with high-risk medical conditions. This is a copy of the county's vaccination distribution phases. It's a little stretched out. I wanted to make sure that the fonts were big enough so everyone can see, but you can get this flyer, the PDF of this flyer, either via our website or on the county's website. But as you can see, we're through phase 1B, and so we're making our way. I think hopefully phase 1C is next, and I believe that may be the last tier. And so we're slowly getting there. So new youth and adult sports guidance released, outlining the return to competitive play. It applies to all schools and community-sponsored programs and privately organized clubs and leagues. Allows for the return of indoor and outdoor sports with specific guidance by tier. Staff has returned the basketball hoops to the park and open registration for T-ball. So we're getting our sort of athletic swagger back here in Galt. And SOAR, our after-school program, resumes at elementary school sites on March 23rd. The Sacramento Housing and Redevelopment Agency continues to accept applications for the Sacramento Emergency Rental Assistance Program. And this program provides over $100 million in financial assistance for residents in Sacramento County impacted by COVID. The funds to be used for rental assistance and utilities owed from April 2020 through March 31st, 2021. The application period closes on March 19th. Staff will continue to communicate the program information to residents through social media, city website, and other avenues. And program details are available on the front page of the city's website under news or at www.shra.org/Sarah. And that concludes the COVID update for March 16, 2020.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Hines. Do we have any council comments on this subject? Mr. Lozano. Councilman Lozano, go ahead.
Yeah, sorry, I didn't use my hand.
All right.
My virtual hand, that is. I want to thank Mr. Hines for the report. Appreciate you taking the time this morning to talk to me about all of our conversation ahead of time, but and really how you're keeping on top of this. And you know, I know we have an interest of getting back into the chambers and opening the city hall to public, but I recognize that you know, we need to do it safely too. And so I appreciate you taking the time, and I have no other comment.
Any other council comment on this matter? Mr. Sandhu, Vice Mayor, please go ahead. Your microphone is off, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Hines, bring the report to us. My just not a question, just information. Any clinic is planning to City of Galt, or because I did, you know, I did talk to you. There's some other cities like in Stockton this weekend, the Walgreens, they bring a 500 vaccine to the nonprofit organization. So there is anything we can do that, because some of our citizens, they don't want to, and you know, and I know there is a lot of appointment open in Sacramento, a lot of appointment open in Lodi, but in Galt is not that many appointment open. If any way we can help to the citizen, if anything we are doing, or if we can.
Great. So we are encouraging folks to watch our website. We're encouraging folks to go to the Vaccinate site for the county. And we are under the auspices of Sacramento County. And so as they design and place clinics throughout the county, those clinics are noticed on this website. Now, I realize there are probably some folks who can't get to some of those sites that may be outside of Galt. And I know there was some conversation about some of our seniors who may be disconnected and may not have the ability to get out to those sites. I'll be in front of the Commission on Aging next week, and we'll be discussing that particular matter. Meanwhile, our Parks Director, Armando Solis, is at a meeting with city representatives, and then we're in front of the county talking COVID policy. And I can pretty much let you know that Director Solis is lobbying every chance he gets to ensure that the county remembers that Galt is here. We deserve as much attention as the other geographical areas in Sacramento County when it comes to vaccine distribution. And so I just wanted you to know that there are really intense efforts going on to ensure that Galt gets our opportunity with these clinics.
Thank you, Mr. Hines. Does that conclude your
Yes.
Vice Mayor?
Yes.
Any other council member have a comment on this matter? Okay, I have a comment, but first, just to make sure there's no public. Is there any public comment on this subject, Tina?
No public comment.
Is there any hands raised online, Rose?
I have no hands raised.
Okay. I just want to make a comment, kind of a little bit related to what Councilmember Lozano said. You know, I think, you know, we all understand why we've been doing Zoom meetings for a while, and clearly, and we know we want to make it safe to return. But with that said, I think it's time. I would like to see a consensus from the council. We decide when that transition is going to take place. I mean, we're now in the red tier. I feel that if we can, you know, sit down in a restaurant and have a meal, or you know, our kids can play sports, or our kids can go back to school, which is going to happen here, that I feel like, you know, the city should set an example and learn to conduct business in the way it did before, out of respect to Councilmember Lozano's absence at our next meeting, and the agenda item, which I feel is coming back on April 6th, which is a pretty big deal. I don't want to put any more on the plate of the city manager, but what I would like to ask is if I can ask my fellow council members for support in picking a date such as the April 20th meeting, to work towards transitioning back to live meetings. We're the only agency that's not meeting live. All of our school boards are meeting live. Our other the council in other cities neighboring us are meeting live. I feel like we can definitely come up with social distancing precautions as we did in the very beginning. I think it's just not about, it's important that we start, as we're going to be dealing with important matters coming before council, that we do it in our formal setting. We have new council members that have never been able to participate in live meetings. There's a lot to be said about being in the chambers and making these decisions in that atmosphere, and the magnitude of what we're doing compared to sitting behind a computer screen. So I would like to know if any other council member would share my consent on trying to come up with a hard date of what we can, you know, come up with a reasonable date to return. Do I have any comments on any of that?
Mr. Mayor, if
Yes,
I
sir.
may, before the other members weigh in, there is still another tier that is yet to be checked off. And that tier contains community government workers. And when that tier is checked off and the folks, the employees at the city of Galt can consistently go get shots and they're now eligible for shots, that was when I was going to bring the issue to council about meeting in person. Because right now I don't feel comfortable opening City Hall until that particular box is checked. As you can see, they're through phase 1B, and I'm hoping they'll get to phase 1C at some point soon. And at that point, I was going to discuss with you all about reopening and having council meetings in person. But meanwhile, and I can tell you personally, I'm a little disappointed that the local government employees are relegated to the last tier. And I don't make that decision, but I can tell you as the city manager, I'm not happy about having our folks being last on the list. PD is taken care of because they're law enforcement, but there's still another 120 employees here in the city that are relegated to that last tier. And so that was my plan. I just wanted you all to have that information before you weighed in on Mayor Farmer's proposal.
Well, real quick, before I get to you, Councilmember Vandenberg, I appreciate your comments, and I understand your reasoning behind that. I just, you know, going along with the city hall workers, and look, I care about our staff that works in City Hall and putting them at risk. But I also understand that we're a service organization, and just so you know, City of Elk Grove, for example, is open. You can go to City Hall. You just have to social distance and wear a mask. As you know, Mr. Hines, we've had people asking about paying bills and stuff with finance, which I know you're working on. But I mean, I just don't understand why a citizen of Galt can't walk in the door, to pay a bill, we have plexiglass up, we have staff with masks. The people that come in are required to wear a mask. I don't understand why we can't go back to doing that. If I can walk into Walmart and be around hundreds of people with a mask on, why we can't conduct business. I mean, we are essential workers. The city of Galt is essential to the community, but
Right.
I mean, it's a perception here, and I don't want to make it look like we don't care about our workers, but I'm not asking our workers to do anything that they're not comfortable with. I'm asking my fellow council members I just looking for a hard date. I feel like if we're just going to be at the mercy of a tier color, it could be 3-4 more months before we ever get to orange, if we ever get to orange.
No, I'm not saying a color. I'm waiting for that box to be checked. We're one step away.
When do you foresee that happening? Do you have any inclination of that?
I'll talk with the county, or I'll have Armando talk with the county, and we'll see when they plan on checking that box. I want to make sure our folks get taken care of. I can't speak for Elk Grove. Maybe they have access to the vaccine that we don't. I don't know, but and they've got a lot more resources than we do.
Councilmember Vanderberg, you had your hand raised.
So the surrounding communities that the mayor mentioned, they have checked that box?
We don't know.
Okay, that's fair enough, but it's something that's easy to look at and I would think that it's not, why don't we shoot for the date the mayor mentioned?
Your microphone's off, sir.
Yeah, I clicked it by accident with my pinky. So, is it reasonable to shoot for the date the mayor mentioned? Because I believe Mr. Lozano won't be there, but he will be the following meeting.
So if I could interrupt for a second, Mayor, it may be that with your suggestion that between you and Mr. Hines, you want to schedule a discussion of when you want to open city facilities for the next council meeting, because it's not actually on your agenda for tonight. And so there may be people who want to speak to that item.
Well, I can bring it up at the end of the meeting as a future agenda item, but I mean, I think not all things have to be agendized to give direction to the city manager on something.
Well,
This clearly falls, excuse me, hold on, Harriet, sorry. This clearly falls under the COVID-19 sphere of what we're discussing here. And so I think it's a relevant discussion.
Which is why I haven't said anything today. I think just if you're going to make final decisions on some of this, you may want to do it with an agenda that's a little.
Well, I would never go to the city manager and emphasize what, insinuating that I could control putting the meeting back. If I went to Mr. Hines and had this discussion, he probably would have said what he said to me today. I wanted to discuss this openly in a meeting so I could get the feelings and the comments from my fellow council members to see how we as a council feel about this. It's not just what Mayor Farmer wants. So
I agree with that. All I'm saying is that while we have COVID on the agenda, we don't necessarily have opening all the city offices and the agenda. So to set something up as a goal, I think is fine, but all I'm saying is you may want to bring it back as an agendized item to make a final decision on that.
Okay, if I could go ahead, Mr. Lozano. You had your hand raised, sir.
I did. I had this conversation with Mr. Hines in our one-on-one bi-weekly meeting, and understand one of the reasons why I said what I did was to get it out in the public, as you said, Mayor. The fact that I had this conversation with Mr. Hines to reopen as soon as we can. I'm not so much worried about me. I'm not so much worried about city council members. I'm worried that if we have something on our agenda that 400 people want, I'm exaggerating. Let me put it more realistically. 35 or 40 people want to go to, we're going to have to tell them no, based on the county's system, which we fall under. I don't want that to be an issue. If we're going to open up to public meetings, I would like the public to be able to come unrestricted. I don't believe that we're restricted here. And I also believe we can't do it, a public meeting in person without our staff members there. Some staff members won't want to have a shot. The checkbox that Mr. Hines is referring to is not the checkbox of just making sure that our staff members have shots. The checkbox is the form that he's been putting up every meeting that has all the little boxes that says these people are eligible to get shots. And so I don't think it's something that we need to take lightly. I would love to shoot for the end of April to have in-person meetings. But like I said, I want to do it safely and effectively. And so to have a meeting in person where we're going to be talking about some, at least in my discussions with the city manager, we're going to be talking about some pretty sensitive items in the next several months, to then say, you know, public, you can come, but only 5 of you can be in the building at once, and we're rotating them through. That doesn't do any good. And so I think it's a delicate balance, and I would certainly be in support of the mayor, Mr. Hines, talking about putting it on the agenda for next time to have a further discussion. But I want to point out that the April 6th meeting is going to be kind of robust in terms of an agenda, as I was made aware of today. So those are my thoughts.
Thank you, sir. And I appreciate your comment. And I was actually, that's why I was looking at the 20th. I think it's important that you're not going to be there on the 6th. I didn't want to come back to live with you absent. And I appreciate
I may not be there on the 20th.
Okay. I think for us to hinge this decision though on whether or not we're going to have restrictions, I mean, the new normal could be, we could have restrictions for a year from now. We can't, you know, there's easily ways that we can social distance people in the audience, you know, separate chairs, only let a certain amount of people in the chambers that want to be in there. The truth is that people that don't feel comfortable are not going to come anyways. But I think it's unfair to have such important agenda items come of the next few months and not have the opportunity for a council member who wants to wait in the lobby, then be allowed to come in, do their public comment at the podium, look us in the face. We all know that there's a difference between looking your elected officials in the face and making a comment about an important matter than it is calling in and speaking over a Zoom meeting. I feel like we're just going to keep moving that goalpost. Well, we can't do it until we have shots. Okay, fine. Then we wait till then. But then we're going to, well, it's not safe for people to come to the chamber. So how we can't do that. And pretty soon we're in Zoom for another year or two. The city of Galt is essential. Our jobs are essential. I would like to hear anybody that argues differently. If somebody can go and work at Taco Bell in the drive-thru, or they can work at McDonald's, or they can work all these other jobs, I'm not even talking about nurses and firemen for that matter, then why can't the city council members who are elected to do a job and a duty sit with social distance and precautions and safety measures in place, and safety measures for the public that want to attend? And we will have restrictions, of course, on that. And we would be very diligent about doing that. We should be able to have a good discussion about that. So I guess what I'll do is I'll bring this up at the end of the meeting and add it as an additional agenda item for next month, next meeting, so we can talk. I'd hate to, you know, add more onto that 6th meeting, but I feel like if we wait a month, talk about it another month, and pretty soon 6 months and we're still Zooming. So I just feel like I've waited long enough to bring this up personally. So does anybody else have any comment on this, council members, or else we can move on?
Mayor,
Vice Mayor, go ahead.
you know, I mentioned even in the last meeting, we are a service agency. We make to every effort to accommodate our customer. Who are our customer? The citizen of the city. And the other thing, I totally understand we have to do as a safe way, but we need to bring this meeting or open these city office as safely we can. And I'm you know, discussed with Mr. Hines, you know, these offices, you know, there is a lot of essential, as you mentioned, even during COVID-19, a lot of essential office was open. I cannot speak on behalf of the other council member, but to me, during COVID, if anybody call me on my work on the city behalf, I usually ask them, where do you want to meet me? We will keep the social distance. A lot of people, when they came to discuss me, I said, come in a parking lot. I will meet you with the more than 6 feet, but discuss. Some people they does not want it to discuss the things on the phone. They want to discuss things on one-on-one. So I like to be as soon as a safe manner, we need to be very proactive. And I believe Mr. Hines can make every effort to do that. Thank you.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Any other comments? Mr. Papineau, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I'm certainly in favor of having this discussion, as soon as possible, which would be the next meeting. As far as checking that box, according to the president, everybody who wants a vaccine gets one by May. So we're not that far out. Secondly, I've been watching quite a few County Board of Supervisors meetings. I don't know what our space and our technology would allow, but their meeting where they and staff are in person, but for the time being, they're taking public comment in the same fashion that we are. So, as part of the discussion, if we're not going to go to because we have a smaller room there, if we can't go to bringing the public in, perhaps we can get ourselves in there, and at least that's the first step until we go back to full capacity. That's all I had to say.
Thanks for your comments. Do we have any? If we have no further council comment, do we have any hands raised online, Rose?
We do not have any hands raised.
All right. Well, with no further discussion, if anybody else doesn't have anything to say, we will move on to our next item, which is from our Community Development Department. The item is the 2021 to 2029 Housing Element Update Presentation on Site Inventory, presented by Craig Hoffman. Mr. Hoffman.
Sure, and can everyone see that?
Yes, sir.
All right, perfect. So tonight we're going to be talking about our preliminary site inventory for our housing element update. We're going to be taking a look at our schedule overview, as well as what our preliminary sites look like right now with our housing element. So we started this journey back in December, and we laid out what a process was going to be, that it was going to be methodical and, as public as we possibly could make it. And I think back then I was hesitant with what this journey may look like with the amount of RENA number that we had with our obligation to provide 1,926 units. And we've worked at it. We've had a great relationship with both our consultant as well as the Planning Commission, and that brings us to our housing sites inventory. It's a presentation I gave to the Planning Commission last week and to you tonight. So based on direction tonight, we're looking to bring the draft document to the City Council in May, and then we'll submit it to HCD. We'll get a review. We'll get their comments. It'll come back to staff. We'll work with the Planning Commission and City Council, and ultimately look to get an approval somewhere around August and a final submittal to HCD, the Department of Housing and Community Development. So when we started looking at what our obligation to meeting our regional housing needs for the 5th cycle, and then taking a look at this cycle, what we really saw was a really significant increase in numbers. And you see those percentage changes, for what we were obligated to provide. And it was a big change. This housing element wasn't going to be something that was easy. We knew that we were going to have to locate housing units on potentially new sites. So these were the numbers we knew in November and December, and this kind of really set us off on this process. So this slide gives you a good understanding of when we talk about income levels, when we talk about housing affordability, what does that look like in the Sacramento region? You know, what can a family of four pay for renting a unit, for buying a unit, assuming that 30% of their income goes to housing? And this table identifies income levels, what you're able to rent a unit as, and what is a max purchase price. We are not required to provide any extremely low income affordability units for Galt. We did not get that obligation. Typically that goes to much more urban centers, but we did look at very low and moderate income households. And just for an example, if you're looking at a typical low income family of four, that's a family making under 60,000 a year with an ability to make a payment of under $1,500 a month if you're renting, or maximum price of $256,000 for a house. So this is an example. What do these type of units rent as? What do these type of units sell as? And what is that income level? So tonight, what we're looking at is when we started looking at our preliminary sites for Galt, we looked at planned and approved projects. We looked at vacant sites inside the city limits. We looked at vacant sites outside the city limits if an annexation was taking place and one was needed. And then we took a look at the various income categories, the above moderate, and for this purpose, when we start talking about lower income, we combine the very low and the low income on sites, because typically those are higher density sites. So starting this process back in December, I think I had indicated, you know, we would potentially be looking to upzone or rezone properties, and council gave some direction, including, you know, if possible, not citing a new site within an existing neighborhood, not disturbing what's already there, making sure that a property owner would agree to the general plan amendment and the rezone and the zone change. If possible, making sure that the property owner would agree to doing some type of higher density project. And by that, I mean apartments, not like a veranda style where it's small lot, but truly a higher density project like an apartment. And where possible, reduce community opposition. And that would really be taken care of by not siting within an existing neighborhood. So that was the direction from council. Then we also get direction from Department of Housing and Community Development. And their comments are, well, we want your units equally spaced and dispersed throughout the community. We want to foster inclusive communities. We want to make sure that there's access to resources and opportunities. You can't just stick a unit out in the middle of nowhere. You have to make sure, you know, does it have the same access as every other income level? Not placed near environmental constraints, not in a floodplain, noise up against railroad tracks or up against a very loud roadway, and not near any type of air impacts or air sources, maybe in an industrial area. And then project size, they like somewhere in the area between 4 to 9.9 units per acre. So staff, the consultant, planning commission, we've been working through this direction. And so this is a great example of when we start talking about density and income levels in the Sacramento region. You know, and Galt is part of this region, but it takes into Yolo County, El Dorado County, Sacramento County, of course. But lower income is typically over, in this region, 20 units per dwelling acre. And as part of this housing element, they're really identifying low income in over 30 dwelling units per acre. That's dense. That's very urban. What land uses do we have? Our R4, our high density, comes close. So does our mixed use. And moderate income, somewhere between 8 and 20 dwelling units per acre, and our R3 hits that. And then above moderate is typically under 8 dwelling units per acre. So very urban designations that are really hinged upon a lot of the communities to the north of us. So we were able to talk to HCD and kind of work out a little bit more of a realistic level of density for the Galt community, because we are rural. We're not Sacramento. We're not Elk Grove. We have, how we build here is different. So we're a lot more rural. Our lower income, higher density sites, they're more likely to come in over 14 dwelling units per acre. And that is our R4 and our mixed use. We're not 20 dwelling units per acre or 30. So HCD agreed with that. Our moderate income is coming in closer towards our 8 to 14 dwelling units per acre. And it was much higher for the Sacramento region. And our above moderate is typically under 6 dwelling units per acre. So that was one of the negotiation points that we had with HCD, was to come up with a very realistic methodology of how we build. And they agreed with that. And that really started us off with our ability to meet our sites. So as part of your staff report, you do have a table, I believe it's table 4, that identifies our preliminary sites. And one thing that you're going to notice about our sites for Galt, we're handling this housing element with 17 sites. Our consultants are working in other jurisdictions where it's taking them 50 to 100 sites to satisfy their housing element. So we're fortunate. We have some projects that have been approved. We have some growth areas that have been approved. And to be able to handle this in 17 sites is absolutely fantastic. So going through this process, what we're able to see is, hey, we have a number of planned and approved projects, and that's what the first 14 sites show. You know, we do have, this side identifies the total units, and then you start identifying what category does it fall into based on density. So Cardozo 1, Cardozo 2, those fall into our above moderate projects. A project like Dry Creek Oaks, that's also moderate, but there's a high density site there, and that hits our lower number. So it's a bigger site, it's 14 acres, and so we get 282 units out of that. So what we're able to see is the projects we have, the numbers really started to fall into place. Eastview specific plan was a huge number for us. That annexation that took place back in late 2015, 2016, those numbers really helped us meet above moderate. There's a great low density site there. And then you see some of these other projects, you know, Greenwood Cottages helping us meet our moderate, Parlin Oaks, the small lot product helping us meet moderate, as well as the apartments helping us meet low, Veranda by Elliott helping us meet moderate. And so you see, based on our projects alone, we got great numbers out of those existing projects. Next slide. We were still shy in what we needed to provide. We have annexation with the Notch project. We have a mixed use piece of property that's going to be coming into the city. We're able to use that as part of our lower number. And then Simmerhorn Ranch had a medium density project. It was their I-Court. And so that came in, and we were able to count that 161. And after you did all these numbers, what we really found is we just needed to change the land use on one property, and that's property 15. And so looking at your criteria that you sent me on, as well as what HCD, we found one additional site, and I'll identify that as part of the mapping, as well as from a methodology standpoint. And we're seeing a bigger trend on accessory dwelling units. Those are going to be a big part moving forward of California, as well as Galt. We have big lots, and the ability for people to add an accessory dwelling unit onto their property. We're able to get 64 additional lower density units there. So when we started doing all this math and we started looking, hey, what do we have for lower? What do we have for moderate? What do we have for above moderate? You know, we had our arena numbers, and they're identified along the top. So we had our planned and approved projects. We had vacant sites that would be annexed as part of the notch area. So new land use coming in there. We had our ADUs, and then we really just had one additional vacant lot that's identified at 198. And that essentially got us to meeting our arena sites. So you see the total units. Typically, when you start talking about a surplus, you don't want to just have the sites that are necessary to meet our numbers. If you'd have a project site that wouldn't develop like you expected, or the numbers shift, then you'd have to go find a new site. So having surplus units in the 15 to 30% range is fantastic. And so what we were able to find is our surplus numbers, they met our targets. Let's see. So let's go through some of the maps. So again, equal dispersal throughout the community, taking a look at our above moderate numbers. Again, the big site that you're seeing, the Eastview specific plan, that site's a big deal. Here you have like site 12 with Morale. You have site 7 with Cedar Flats, site 8 with Dry Creek Oaks. These are some large projects, and what they do is they bring in big numbers, and they really do help us meet that goal. And for our above moderate, all of that could be handled within the existing city limits. When we get to moderate, what we're talking about is projects that are smaller lot projects. Here we have along Carillion, site 11 is Greenwood Cottages, again, 224 units. Parlin Oaks, 144 units for the small lot project. And then site 14 with Veranda that's currently building. The one site that's currently outside of our city limits, but is part of an active annexation. And that annexation we expect to have by the end of this year is Simmerhorn Ranch. And when I call Simmerhorn Ranch a partial, it's because the site we're looking to use is the 161 units for the I-Corp. So moderate is taken care of. And then when we start to get into the lower number, we have a small apartment complex, Dry Creek Oaks, 14 acres with 284 units. That's a great site for us. The Eastview specific plan identifies 250 units. Parlin Oaks does include an apartment complex at 80. And then what we end up with left, we have an annexation piece that comes in that's identified as 16. It's just above Simmerhorn Road. That is a mixed use property, and we get 80 units out of that. And then the one piece of property that we would need to do a general plan amendment and a rezone is site 15. It's currently designated highway commercial. It's not located adjacent to any existing neighborhoods. Spatially, it fits within what HCD would say is, you know, make sure that you're not putting all these sites in one location. We currently don't have any high density sites south of Simmerhorn and north of Basso, so it's an area that works. It's an opportunity for a mixed use project with the highway commercial that's around there, and It was a 41-acre highway commercial site, and the applicant, they want to build commercial, but they also want to do a mixed-use project that includes high density. He wants to build apartments. It hit a lot of boxes. So next steps, we're looking to complete our housing element, update a lot of the policies and information that the state of California requires. And we're continuing our coordination with our HCD, our Department of Housing and Community Development representatives. And so if you were to look at all the sites, what I think you see from this map is something that's spatially dispersed throughout the community. And that's really what the state's looking for. And I think when I started this process in November, I was nervous about tonight's meeting because I think I was going to be asking the council to do some things that it's going to push us into an uncomfortable area. But what we found, it worked out. And to end this process with having to find just one site, I think Galt is way ahead of the curve. And that concludes my presentation. No, I'll leave that at that. So if there's any questions I might be able to answer tonight.
Thank you, Mr. Hoffman. We'll start with, I have some questions, but we'll start with our Vice Mayor.
I was going to say, Mr. Mayor, do you want me to leave this? Do you want to move away from this, stop sharing the screen, or would you like this image up?
No, I think leave the image up. I don't think we need to see each other as much as we'd like to see the maps.
Okay.
So unless another council member wants to change the screen, they'd be more than happy to request that. But Mr. Vice Mayor, do you have any questions for Craig at this juncture? Your microphone's off.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Give me the opportunity. I have, if not the question, some kind of clarification. First of all, Mr. Hoffman, thank you. You bring that, that same thing when I talked to Chris before you, he have that concern too, how we going to come up with that affordable housing, that element. Just for the clarification, affordable housing, what that actually mean to affordable housing is just low income, really low income, or moderate? What that means? That statement means.
So affordable housing ties into density. In the city of Galt, we're not required to build housing, but we're required to provide the opportunity. We're required to provide sites. And in affordability, there's a affordability for people that can afford very low income units. There's low income units. There's moderate income units and above moderate. So as part of this screen, you're identifying various densities that provide housing that meets affordability. A lower density project, bigger lots, that's going to be meeting more of our above moderate housing, and our higher density sites that are identified in the brown that says lower, that's going to meet more of our lower income sites. So affordability is not just low or above moderate, it meets the 4 categories that we need to provide housing for.
Okay, thank you. And the next, just a clarification, there's a 5th cycle and 6th cycle. What's the time on a 5th cycle, or what's the time on a 6th cycle?
Sure, the 5th cycle ran from 2013 to May of 2021, and the 6th cycle is going to run from May 2021 to May 29. So they're 8-year cycles.
Okay, thank you. Then my next question is, on the high density side, right? And that's, I believe most of the project is already planned, or they lot of thing is moderate and above moderate they cover. The only thing I believe in one, the site we choose for the high density, right?
Correct.
And there is a site number 8. Uh, can you a little bit explain? That's a Dry Creek, I believe. There is a senior housing there. There is a parcel over there, right?
Correct. Dry Creek Oaks, it's a big property. It has property that meets our above moderate, which is the single family homes that they're building for senior housing. They also have a 14-acre site that is identified for high density. So that project helps us meet our above moderate as well as our lower income sites.
Okay, then that project number 15, that's I believe that's a 43 or 45 acre is highway commercial,
That's highway commercial.
and that we are identifying around 10 acre to make the high density project, right?
Correct. And that site is on a 41-acre highway commercial site, and the area, it would be slightly less than 10 acres. In that highway commercial site, it is 41 acres, but it's part of a 91-acre area that's designated for highway commercial. So that was one thing that staff was looking at, making sure that if we were going to do a general plan or zone change, that it wouldn't impact the ability to have a useful commercial project on that property.
Yeah, that's kind of my concern too, because that's his whole thing. And that 10 acre is backside. I don't know how the access can be from that high density. So they have to big infrastructure, right?
Correct. Currently here, let me go to another slide. Maybe this will help. Oh, one slide up. I don't know if you could see my cursor.
Yes.
This area is the Simmerhorn Ranch project that the council approved and is part of the overall annexation taking place. This is that R3 is that I-Corp project that was approved part of it. We will see a major roadway come up through here. And so what this property owner was looking at is putting apartments kind of in here, what would be off a major roadway. Yes, there will be major infrastructure put in as part of the Simmerhorn Ranch project that includes roads, water, and sewer. And we expect that to happen in the next 2 years.
Okay, thank you. And the next is the project, the identified number 16.
Okay.
So that is you said this is a mixed use already in a county zone, right?
Sorry, yeah, let me go back to that. As part of the Notch annexation, the general plan identified this, and if you could follow my cursor, this mixed use piece of property, and it is going to be coming in as part of the Notch annexation. And the mixed use zoning allows for, of course, a wide range of commercial, but it also allows for multifamily housing. And the state's letting us use a portion of that land to meet our low density housing numbers.
And how many acres over there we using for low density?
It'll be 4 acres of the overall 16-acre parcel. The state will let us use about a 25% ratio when it comes to mixed use housing.
So that can be a 2 parcel, right?
It is 2 parcels.
Okay, so we're gonna using in front of the Simmerhorn these 2 parcel, like in is a high density, maybe apartment or whatever, right?
We're identifying the potential for that to be built, correct?
Okay, then we also talking about the accessory dwelling unit. Can you a little bit explore on that?
Sure. The state of California allows by right people to build an accessory dwelling unit on their property as long as they have the area for it, as long as it meets the setbacks. They're allowed to build an accessory dwelling unit. We haven't had a lot here in Galt, but they're starting to be much more popular overall in the Sacramento County region. They're popular in California, and it's a trend that's going to follow. And when we start having our discussions with the Department of HCD, we ask them, well, we want to use accessory dwelling units to help meet our affordable housing needs. And although we didn't have a great track record, they agreed that the trends in the area, and since we have large lots here in Galt, they said, yeah, we could see that taking place. So they let us use 64 units. And since it was 647 units were required for our low and very low, they agreed that 10% of those units could be accomplished by using accessory dwelling units. So that was really a big deal. And it was a push that we tried to make with them. So that really worked out.
Okay, thank you. I think so far I have that kind of information. Let's move to Mayor. If you can move to the next
Sure.
council.
Thanks for your question.
Thank you.
Councilmember Papanow, do you have any questions? And we can circle around more than once if we want to keep questions brief, and then we can go back around a second time if need be.
Yeah, just real briefly, I like the placement and the planning, putting the higher density with the mixed use, albeit they're not right adjacent to city center. They will have services along with those other developments. So I like that. One question, either something I overlooked in the packet or I didn't see it till tonight, is there was a slide that showed income levels and max purchasing price. Does HCD at any point look backwards on this? I see a max purchase price on a moderate of 384, and I know it's hard to keep up with housing prices, but I know some of our things that would be considered moderate start considerably above that nowadays.
Yeah, you know what? This was an estimate from a couple years ago. And with housing prices and cost of living, yeah, it goes up on a yearly basis. So it's a guide, but it's not the be all end all. A lot of things that we're looking at is densities. What they want to see is when they talk about moderate or above moderate, what they want to see is that's going to be some of our small lot product that, there's the potential for that to sell lower. It's definitely, you're not going to see moderate on a conventional lot. I think Tim Lewis was talking about the Cedar Flat project starting in around like 430,000. That's definitely going to be above moderate. That won't count as moderate, but we do see these prices, they change on a yearly basis. And it's rare when they ever go down. Maybe they went down back in like 2008 or 9 when we had the crash, but typically we're seeing these numbers go up on a yearly basis.
Right. Okay. Yeah, I was just curious if they would look back and say, "Oh no, you got to change your plan now because those were different." But if density is more what they're looking at, then that's fine. So that's the only question I had. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, sir. Councilmember Vandenberg.
Thank you, Mayor. First, on page 7 of 10 of the packet, the 13th one, Parlin Oaks. Did I see that right? It seems to continue. Yeah, it seems to continue, but the information is conflicting on the next item because it goes to the next page. And one, it says a total of 144 units, then flips over, but doesn't have 14 next to it. So I'm assuming it's 13, but it has 80 units. So what am I missing there?
So the Parlin Oaks project, it was built on a high density site, and in order to meet its density, it includes 144 small lot housing units that look kind of like what Veranda's building at right now. And those units will fit into the moderate zone. Also on that same project site, there's an 80-unit apartment complex that we'll see building. So there's actually two different products and they fit into different categories.
Okay, it's just split. I just wanted to understand that.
Yeah.
And then on, I think it's 8, what's this, Dry Creek Oaks? Was there any discussion about, like, right next to it, there's a site for low-income housing, and I'm not sure what that color is, but I'll just call it brown. And
Site 8, I believe.
right, but site 8 is actually in yellow, and that's what I believe is Dry Creek Oaks, if I'm not mistaken.
Correct.
Was there discussion about Dry Creek Oaks is senior living, and
Correct.
the zone next to that is our highest density? You know, those generally are less compatible lifestyles. Was there discussion about that and with the state at all when you make these zones, or are we just trying to reach some numbers?
Well, the Dry Creek Oaks project was a comprehensive project, and when the applicant came forward, and this was years ago, not only, and you see it on this slide, Dry Creek Oaks is this commercial piece, this high density piece, as well as this piece right here that ends up with single family senior housing. It was a comprehensive development. So what at the time Ryan Voorhees wanted to do, he wanted to build single family senior housing. Then he wanted to build a higher density senior apartment complex and potentially even assisted living. So he was looking for a senior project that would have multiple types of housing options for the senior community. So it was there. It's an approved project and it works. And as to your point, yeah, it's counting numbers.
Okay, but is it designated, so then is it designated for senior, as a senior apartments like 55 and older?
The zoning code
Doesn't care.
does not care. We
Yeah.
identify it based on density.
So
If
there's-
in the future, the applicant comes back and wants to do senior apartments, that's up to them. Could it be just regular apartments? Absolutely.
So there's nothing in the works. That's okay.
No.
That's all I have for now.
Thank you, Councilmember. Councilmember Lozano.
Yeah, most of my questions were answered. I actually not questions, but comments had to do around the mixed use and high density. I think that's a great way to reach some of these numbers. I want to applaud you, Mr. Hoffman, and Planning Commission and the consultant and everybody that did all the work. I was quite surprised when we were having our conversation about this topic today or yesterday. I'm sorry. And to see that we only had to go to one property owner to ask what their interest was in this, and it actually worked real well. I like that idea of, you know, having the highway for commercial and then high density and then going into you know, the other project that's just east of it. And so I think that's a good way to allow for some high density that will have access to services. And I can't remember who brought it up, but I think it was Mr. Vice Mayor Sandu who brought it up. But you know, having that right on, maybe not on Simmerhorn, but access to Simmerhorn or access to the freeway. I can imagine there will be some public transportation issues or infrastructure put in. And so I think that'll work out just perfect. So just thank you for taking the time with me yesterday and explaining what you did, because it was a little confusing to me. And I'll tell you, I hear it from two different or hear these issues and look at them through a couple of different lenses. One of being on the SACOG board, where everybody, all my partners in the region are really struggling with this. And I would like to say that I think we have a great community and great staff that was able to do this, not without any hiccups, but certainly in a way that works and is going to meet the goal. But also, I like the fact that we were creative and we're able to look at projects that were already in the hopper to just say, hey, here's what we have, and the explanation to me that we don't have to build it, we have to provide an opportunity to. So thank you so much. Appreciate it. And that's all I have.
Thank you, Councilmember. So Craig, again, yeah, I appreciate your time, Craig, with a phone call that you and I had for yesterday, I believe it was, to help kind of elaborate on some of this. And then I was able to go back and watch some of the Planning Commission too, and hear some of the concerns that and the discussion that took place there. I want to start with a couple questions just regarding the arena in general. You know, looking at some research that I found and doing some numbers and such, I was wondering why is it seems a little unfair that the city that Rita's asking the cities at different levels. What I mean is, why are some cities being asked to grow disproportionately to others? And what I mean by that is, if you look at the amount of available households in Elk Grove versus what the RENA is asking them to add in this cycle, it's about a 13%. So basically, RENA's asking Elk Grove to add 13% to its housing across all levels, low income to all the way across. So 13% for Elk Grove, 22% for Roseville, Rancho Cordova is at a 34, Citrus Heights at 2%, and Galt is at 31. So it just seems unfair that they're basically asking Galt to add 31% to its housing inventory, which is higher than Elk Grove, Roseville, and even Citrus Heights, and even Folsom for that matter. None of those cities are being asked to add as much inventory. Why is that?
They take a look at available land. They take a look at how cities grow, the amount of building permits they typically do on a yearly basis. They take a look at where people are moving to. And although Galt, you'd say, hey, it's unfair, we're at 31%, we have to accommodate 1,926 units. You take a city like Rancho Cordova, and I think their arena number was like 6,000 units.
It was 9,000.
9,000, yeah. Elk Grove, if you have it in front of you, you'll see the number. I think Elk Grove, the number percentage sounds small because it's a town of 172,000. But what was Elk Grove? Elk Grove was a big number too.
It's 8,200, yeah. But in relevance to what they have, it's only a 13% increase. I mean, the point I make is, it's like they're almost saying like, oh, well, Galt, you're not big enough. So the bigger cities, we're going to just let them stay, you know, maybe a small number. But Galt, you're a small town, so you need to grow more. It's like, it's just completely unfair. It's one thing to allocate, hey, a certain percentage of your housing needs to be low income because you need to fit a, you know, check a certain box. But to say that you have to grow, we're forcing you to designate this much. I mean, I just think it's unfair. It's just unfair that you're telling a city you're going to control how much we grow. It's one thing to tell us what kind of housing we have to provide. That's a whole nother thing. But overall, to say you guys have to grow this much, and it's disproportionate to other cities. So it's almost like we're being penalized for being a rural community with a bunch of open land, like you just said.
I think the process that originally started out a couple of years ago, SACOG, they did a great job. They identified what our regional numbers should be. You know, how is this region growing, and what should the numbers be? And our SACOG representatives, they do a great job for us. And so they go to the state and they say, well, this is our numbers. This is how we're going to grow. And the state looked at it and said, that's fantastic. No, now we're going to double your numbers. And they came back, and I think it was really shell shock. And it's not just Galt, and it's every community is trying to deal with this. This community is not going to build 1,926 units in 8 years. I mean, that would be explosive growth. But we do have the ability to provide those sites. We do have the the ability to provide those opportunities. And I understand your sentiments. I just say that, we're going to satisfy our obligation, and I think it worked out well for this community, but I understand exactly what you're saying.
Yeah, and I know
So-
it's not, and it's not your doing, Craig. And I get that. You've been you do a very good job explaining it all and trying to, and I can sense, the struggle in your voice sometimes when you're saying things reluctantly, like unfortunately we have to do this and that. And so I do appreciate your presentation of it and how you do it. I'm just simply expressing my frustration, venting out loud, that I think it's unfair that a town that prides itself as a small community, and we want to try to keep that identity to some respect, that we have the state of California coming in and saying, well, Galt, sorry, but we're going to require you to grow more than this other city. So to dive into a more specific question with you,
Mr. Mayor,
yes,
Mr.
sir.
Mayor, if I may,
Go ahead.
Craig, now I realize the numbers are the goals for the other cities may be different than Galt. Does the fact that those other cities may have already met some of the RENA goals, and maybe that's why the numbers are so low? How does these other cities that we're comparing ourselves to, is it possible that they may have met these goals or percentage of these goals, and perhaps that's one of the reasons why these numbers are so different? Any thoughts on that?
Usually each cycle is completely independent of each other. What the slide shows you right now is our 5th cycle and our 6th cycle. We are able to utilize some of our sites that we used in the 5th cycle. I think it has more to do with how fast some of these communities grow, the amount of units that they get. And, I understand it's not fair for this community because it's completely counter to how we do develop. It's counter to how we view density, and it's counter to the character of this community. But it's the number we got, and we have to work with it the best we can.
I think to fit with Mr. Hines' narrative would make more sense if we were saying, well, each city is required to grow 25% in this 8-year period. And so Galt is going to need to grow more in the low income, but less in the moderate. And whereas in other cities, those numbers might fluctuate, but it still always equates to a same percentage. But that's not the case here. Right? And so it's not like some of us have done a better job with hitting certain boxes and certain income levels. I think it's just we're overall being asked to grow more than every other city that I looked at out of about 9 cities, with the exception of Rancho Cordova was 3% more than us, but everybody else was at least 10% lower, if not more. And so it's just strange. But I looked at small cities like Ileton was 7%. So I guess they're not picking on small cities in general. I don't know why Ileton was only asked to increase by 7%. I don't know if they just do a lottery or something and we're the unlucky straw or something, but anyways, I want to move on to this other item. So site number 15, I know that was the discussion about that, and I've heard my other council member comments about that. I think if it was to be something with that site there, because clearly we can all agree that that's a prime commercial. We've been waiting to see something there for a long time. That is going to be the link pin that links the east and the west side together. We wanted the Walmart there originally, where I think the Walmart should have been there. And so now we're finally getting some progress, something going on. So although I would support some mixed use type of housing there, I want to be careful that we don't take some of our prime highway commercial, which I think, regardless of the highway commercial that's up there north of the north towards Twin Cities, all that commercial up there to the north, regardless of that, I don't consider that prime. I mean, I think this here in the middle is like the sweet spot of the entire community. And I just want to make sure that we don't, say, well, we need to check this box right now, but we're not thinking long term. I know that we have to delegate area. So can you tell me what's the difference between putting 198 unit complex, and if this is financially speaking, what's the difference financially to the city of Galt, aside from housing requirement or any of that, just talking dollars? What would be the difference between developing 9.9 acres for 198 unit high density project versus taking that same 9.9 acres and saving it for some highway, highway commercial, like some other, businesses or whatever that could possibly go in there. What do you think? What kind of money are we talking about generating off of an apartment complex?
So this slide identifies all the highway commercial north of Basso, south of Simmerhorn. It's 91 acres of highway commercial. And one of the first thing we started looking at was making sure that we weren't doing something that would limit the opportunity. That's still 91 minus this site, you still end up with slightly over 81 acres of highway commercial. So the first thought was we can't do anything that limits what takes place there.
So by doing the 9.9, if we were to set that aside, this developer that you have, and correct me if I'm wrong, but you have a developer that's willing to move forward with something in this notch, a mixed use.
Correct. We had a property owner that actually requested this designation that they want to build apartments.
So it would be right where your cursor is, kind of on that. So not really close up against the freeway, but more on the back end of the highway commercial.
Correct. And there ends up being a road right there that would separate the R3 is what you almost end up with a road that ends up that crosshatch line.
So it kind of reminds me of what I envision it when I think about this and try to visualize this in my mind. It's kind of like the area over off of Harney Lane in Lodi, where they just built, you have the Home Depot and you have the Chipotle and whatever else is there. And then you have that senior kind of multi-story back in the back corner. It kind of reminds me of that. Like if you were to envision, what would this look like with commercial stuff around and then some housing, right?
So the one apartment complex that is not the senior is 145 units, and that project cost $42 million to build. And so you would be getting the property tax off a site that costs that much. And multifamily is expensive. It just is. They're big projects and they cost a lot. So what's the difference? You're getting the property tax, but you're not getting this long-term sales tax. But what you do get is, for this property owner that owns 41 acres, this multifamily helps him move a project forward. And so you're getting multifamily along with the highway commercial.
Well, I mean, like I said, initially, I mean, it wouldn't have been my favorite spot, but now that I've heard the other council's comments on it and starting to visualize, I mean, my thing, I think, is that if, we've been waiting so long to see something happen in here, and although we've annexed this and we've done all that, we still are not really seeing, like, there's still not any movement just yet, right? So in this commercial area here. So if I feel like if this is a catalyst to start seeing movement in this front corridor here, then I would say that I don't think it's the worst thing that we could do. And again, I understand your numbers and how you want to have a surplus. I was doing some math and I see that, without that, you would still hit your number without that site, but you just don't have the surplus. And I understand, you answered my question about that when you were explaining the importance of surplus. So I get that. So I guess, for me, I think it makes sense. Just going back to that chart that Councilmember Papineau asked about with the pricing and stuff, and saw that it said in the fine print that it was based on 2018. There's only 15 active houses. There's only 15 active listings in the city of Galt right now, 15. And the cheapest house in Galt right now is $400,000. You cannot buy a house in town right now in the city of Galt for less than $400,000. Just so you know what the current market is right now. It's crazy. So those numbers there, yeah. So, but I know that we're not worried about that. We can't control that. We're just looking for zoning. So I guess that's the only questions I have. I think that you answered my questions, and I had some additional ones which you seemed to answer. So I don't know, we'll go back around. Does any other council members have additional questions? Just go ahead and speak if you do. All right.
Yeah, I do real quick.
Okay, Councilmember Vandenberg, go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor. On the last cycle, since we're almost to the end of it, what percentage of what was requested actually got built? I don't need an exact number. I just want a rough idea.
It was low. We didn't build that many. I'd have to get you those numbers. And we do have the building permits, what our numbers were. I'd have to get those for you. But we didn't meet those numbers. We didn't grow that fast. I know the last year we issued 35 building permits. So, and before that was, yeah,
Right.
a couple 50s. And I think we had one year where we maybe hit 121 homes, but we didn't hit that many units.
Let me clarify a little bit. It always seems to be the focus of achieving higher density zoning. So you're talking about everything. I guess I was more focused on that portion of.
Oh, the high density
Yeah.
for the low units.
Yes.
I think we had 14 apartment units added on to the apartment complex on Lincoln Way. Maybe we did a few duplexes that may have counted, but as far as how many low density, barely any.
So under 20% of what was asked.
Oh, I'm sure.
Okay. And then the only thing I wanted to say, it's kind of frustrating that the state takes our tax dollars out of our pocket and then threatens us not to give it back to us if we don't do as they say. It's a frustrating process. That's all I have.
And again, this process, we're looking to provide the opportunity, and that's it. Do our obligation. And
yeah, I get it. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember. Mr. Lozano.
Yeah, and if I could just, I have nothing else. If there's public, I'd love to hear what the public has to say about it. But I just, Councilmember Vandenberg, let me just put out a little bit of information, and this might all start making a little more sense. These RENA numbers are double, and in some cases, triple, depending on the jurisdiction of what they were in the last cycle. And it's been 2 years since our governor's been in office. His pitch for housing has been going on for 2 years, right in the middle of this cycle of figuring out what the RENA numbers were going to be. So I mean, not that I was in any conversations with the governor, but I can connect the dots, right? And so I think that's one piece of it. And I think then the other piece is the high density in this town we haven't had forever. I mean, like I think Mr. Hoffman mentioned the 14 units that were added on to the apartment complex on Lincoln, and a few more. And I believe that not that I'm a proponent of a ton more high density, but I think that has to play into why the state is trying to push for what they're trying to push. And I agree with you, and push it down on communities like ours who don't necessarily have an interest in building quickly. And we showed that the last time in the 5th cycle. If you look at those numbers, we didn't meet any of that, I don't believe. And honestly, high density doesn't pencil out for developers. I would venture to say, and you look at Parlin Oaks, that's townhomes with one small apartment complex, 80 unit apartment complex. I'm part of my conversation with Mr. Hoffman yesterday was, what's that look like? Well, that's going to be quite costly. So I don't know that people are going to be developers or anybody's really going to be running down to try to pull building permits to build any of this. It's just, again, it's government getting in the way of the people, quite honestly. And so, at the SACOG meetings, I hear from people from Yolo County, Sutter County, all these different counties that say, we would love to have an apartment complex on X site that they have, and they can't get anyone to come build it, and because it's so expensive. And so one other piece that I think I mentioned before you were on the council was, as this process was going on, there's a city in Yolo County that has a big university in it. And for most of their year, all but about 2 months out of the year, they have, I don't know how many thousands of college students who live in that community, and they live in high density housing. Well, none of that property of high density housing that was on the university was counted toward their RENA numbers. So now, if the real question is, we want we want more housing for more affordable housing in cities or in communities, but yet we're not going to count the state property. That just that tells you the whole story, I think. And I think you have to read between the lines a little bit in that this isn't really about high density housing. It's about a political motivation from the state, and again, pushing that down our throats. So I'll get off my soapbox. I probably stepped over the line a couple times there.
All during a year when our state actually shrunk in population.
Yeah, exactly. But now remember, that wasn't the plan. So it's crazy. It's absolutely crazy.
Enough of that.
Yeah. So that's all I have. I just wanted to shed a little bit of light on.
Just one last comment on what you just said, mentioned, Mr. Lozano, is I had a meeting with Darren Suen, a council member from El Grove, a few days ago, and we were talking about this very thing, housing element. And he said it's funny how the state of California will say, well, you need to do this for the environment, you need to do that, and you need to do all these mandates and such, which what happens is it creates more cost on the developers. And so a developer has, and I don't even, my numbers probably way off, Craig would probably be more accurate, but $50,000 in a single family home before they even purchased, before even accounting and purchasing the land or building the house, you already have 50 grand or whatever invested in that spot because of all the regulations and stuff that the state will hand down, which causes that. And then so what happens is it makes that cost of that house so expensive because of all that pre stuff that's loaded on there. Then you have your CFD and all that stuff, and then they turn around and go, oh, but by the way, you guys need to do a better job at making affordable housing. You need to have a threshold where people can afford. It's like telling us to run a race and taking one of our wheels off, and then how are we supposed to do that? So it's frustrating. And yeah, I just want to throw that in there. Does anybody else have any other comments on this particular topic before we move on?
We need public comments, Mayor.
I will ask for public comment just in a sec here. I was making sure there's no council. All right. Well, so before I go to public comment, Craig, so this is just a presentation. So what's the next step here? Are you going to be coming back to us, asking us for a rezone of that particular area, or is that something that would accompany somebody actually putting in a formal permit for that site, and then that comes to us with a request for a rezone? How does that, where are we going from here?
So we'll have a program that says within 3 years, the city will do a general plan amendment and a rezone on the property. So we have 3 years to make that happen. And I'm going to guess that it'll take place as infrastructure starts spreading out there, as Simmerhorn Ranch starts to develop. I think you're going to have Jazz Bain looking at that infrastructure and starting to go, yeah, I want to start moving forward with the project. But we have 3 years, and that's one of our state mandated programs.
Yeah. All right. Thank you. So yeah, we're very interested to hear from the public. Tina, do we have any written comment on this particular item?
No written comment.
And Rose, do we have any hands raised online?
We currently have no hands raised online.
Okay. Well, if you are watching the meeting and you would like to make a comment, you can raise your hand quickly. I'll try to get you in. Otherwise, you're welcome to reach out to one of us council members if you have questions about what you saw tonight, and hopefully we can help you, or if not, we can steer you to a staff member that can. So
next steps, Mr. Mayor. So in April, we'll start putting together all the programs that need to be a part of the housing element. A lot of it's just state mandated programs. There's not a lot of options. I think the siting analysis is the big item. Some of the methodology to how we get there. In April, we'll be back before the Planning Commission. But I think the siting opportunity tonight was your chance to go, okay, we meet it, and then we'll be back in May. In May, you'll direct me to submit the draft review to HCD. HCD is going to take a look at it for 60 days. They're going to provide us some comments, and then we'll take the project back to the Planning Commission in July, see if there's any tweaks we need to make, and then we'll bring it back to the council in August for a final approval. And then that document will be our guiding document for housing for the next 8 years.
Okay. Well, thank you for the presentation. It was very thorough as usual. We appreciate your simple way of explaining it all so we can understand, and And we like the way you've been doing things, Craig. So appreciate that. Is there any hands raised online, Rose?
No, there is no hands raised.
Okay, then we will move on to our next item, which also is from Mr. Hoffman, and the subject is our 2-year permanent local housing allocation funds. Go ahead, Craig.
So, Mr. Mayor, members of the council, I think, we've had some really great conversations over the last 5 months. How are we doing this? What's going on with affordable housing? And I could just keep on telling you, I really see the trend, what we're seeing from SACOG, what we're seeing from the state, more money towards providing housing. How do you provide it on an affordable level when it's costing so much? And this is part of an allocation from the state. The principal goal of this program is to make funding available to local governments for housing related programs and projects, and to help us address our unmet housing needs. So this grant program, Sacramento County helps the city of Galt with our community development block grant program. They oversee the program for us. Along with us, Folsom and Ileton, they help us with this program. Again, this grant, this permanent local housing allocation fund, is part of the $16 million fund that's being provided to not only the county, but also a number of these cities. On page 2 of your staff report, you see that Galt will receive $574,000, just under $575,000 in funds in 5 years. So the city will not receive this money until basically our 2024-2025 fiscal year, the 5th year of the program. But at that point in time, if the city decides to take this money, we could use that money for pre-development, development, acquisition, rehabilitation, preservation and multifamily, residential live work, rental housing that is affordable again to low, extremely low, very low, as well as moderate. So I don't want you to think that this is just a program that is directed just to the low and the very low programs, but it's also for moderate income, as well as it can provide operational subsidies. You could have an existing apartment complex and we could go talk to maybe that manager and say, hey, if we gave you some money, could we take some of your units that maybe rent at above moderate levels and pay for those for like 5 years and subsidize those numbers? So this is a program that helps you meet affordable housing again in 5 years. But I could think of a couple projects that we have in the hopper where I've heard it from the developer. It's just so expensive to build this project. I think you're going to start seeing a lot more money like this to help out. And I know we're going to start seeing a lot more money from SACOG because Rich sees it in a number of different manners. So I think this is a trend you're going to see more of. And staff is asking for the council to adopt a resolution accepting this grant money that you'll see in 5 years. That concludes my presentation.
Thank you, Craig. Comments from council. Vice Mayor, do you have any comments?
Yeah, I just kind of thank you, Mr. Hoffman, give this presentation. This grant money, I think on the specs, on the staff report, it mentioned we can use many things, including homeless program, homeless shelter, right? And then I'm talking about, so that's mean we can, or there might be something attached to it. So this money have to use later on something. Can you might be explain to something this kind of grant? I like the grant. I like get the grant to help the, affordable housing, who will be a developer to help them, or infrastructure.
Right.
And I just want to make sure that grant is going wherever we want. We don't want maybe they can maybe later on dictate, or you have to do this money for this thing. You cannot do something else.
So as part of your packet, and there's an attachment that's on the staff report, and it's titled PLHA Grant Requirements and Eligible Activities. And this identifies all the activities that you're allowed to do. So you're guaranteed that you can, if you do these activities, if this is how you use the funding, you're allowed to do it. That's what the grant's for. So it allows for a wide range of opportunities. Again, pre-development, development, acquisition, rehabilitation of projects, preservation of units. But the other nice piece is, including operational subsidies. So it allows you to develop something, rehabilitate something, or if it's operating in a manner that maybe there's an opportunity to provide some type of assistance to folks. There's a wide range of opportunities. And I think when this grant becomes available, it'll be coming back to the city council and identifying a number of projects and going, where do we get the best bang for the buck?
Thank you, Mr. Harman, on the clarification. Thank you.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Councilmember Papanow.
No, I don't have anything on this. Thank you.
All right, Councilmember Vandenberg.
No, it's thank you, but it's really hard to decide what to do with money we won't see for 5 years, but who doesn't like money?
Councilmember Lozano.
Yeah, I think thanks for the presentation and the explanation earlier about it. I think this gives us a little bit of an opportunity to look out and plan a little. I have recently met with someone who has an interest in some development of senior housing or something like that, which would be a little bit more high density, and think about Galt Place, that type of thing. And if that's 2 to 3 years out or 5 years out, that might give us an opportunity to help with that, and and really start doing some stuff with infill development that is going to be beneficial to business. In our we had the project last meeting where I think it's really going to affect the downtown area in terms of business, and so I think we have some opportunity to do that. And I always like a list that has 3 or 4 bullet points for requirements and 10 eligible activities. I mean, that explodes, right? So anyhow, I think your staff will do a good job of keeping the eye on the ball as we get closer to this, and identifying those little areas that we could help out. So thanks so much, Mr. Hoffman and the staff for bringing this forward.
Thank you, Councilmember. I just have a couple quick questions, Craig. So just to speak plainly, what strings are attached with this? I mean, is it just we have to use it for the purposes that were laid out? And is there an expiration on this? I mean, once it's available, say this money is that, I mean, do we have a certain time frame where it has to be used, or we lose it, or any of that?
I mean, typically you're using it within a fiscal cycle. They didn't identify that there was an amount or time, but once the money becomes available, typically you're spending it within 1 to 2 years. But I think if you were to ask me, what are the strings on this? Why shouldn't we do this? Well, if you look at the list of eligible activities and go, no, we don't want to do that, then you wouldn't take the grant. My comment would be on this, you're going to start to see more of this. And I always tell folks, the only way that we're going to be able to start providing affordable housing is if somebody, and this is from the state, this is from the federal, this is from regional, they're going to have to start giving us money that we can start working with the developers and subsidizing those gaps. Because right now the cost, just the labor cost and the material cost on housing, it's too much. It's unsustainable.
Right.
The average person cannot buy a house.
So just you know, and I don't mean strings attached. Like, well, I'm leery of why we shouldn't take it. I mean, it sounds pretty straightforward. I just, you know, with any grant, I always like to ask, well, what's the string attached? But just simple yes or no responses to just a quick questions. Some of the things we could use it for. If we had someone that wanted to do an infill project and the fees are going to be, you know, $200,000 before they could break ground, and it was going to be a project that was, say, a high density. Or actually, it doesn't even have to be high density. There's a lot of things in here, so we could use that for that.
Correct.
What about if we were to take? You said that you could use it as subsidies. So what about if there was a apartment complex that got built, but it was market rate, and we needed to check the box for low income? We somehow come up with some program using that funding to subsidize some low income people. Part of their rent. So we actually don't make it a low income place, but some people are getting financial assistance. Is that something that could possibly be?
Correct. Operational subsidies.
Huh. That's interesting.
They've made this flexible, and I think you're going to start to see more of this.
Well, I'd like to see it used for develop. I mean, again, like Councilor Lozano mentioned, I think it was he that mentioned, you know, like we did with the infill thing when we first came on council. But this is another possibility where we can say, you know, what's holding you up? Why won't you build this? Oh, because it's too much in fees or whatever. Well, here we can help out with that or whatever. I mean, you know, we need that. So I think it's a good thing. Councilman Vandenberg, you had a question?
Just, you know, one comment. I mean, I would prefer to see it, if it was going to be used to build something physical that would stay permanent, as opposed to subsidizing incomes. Not that that's not a good thing, but I would also caution that you don't subsidize a builder's project and then he sells it at market value for a higher profit. You know, that's it. That's all I got.
Well, I think I would offer that when you enter into these negotiations, you know, there's a lot of stipulation. You know, it isn't just a win for the developer. It's got to be a win for the community, and it's got to be a win for the city. And you start working out contract negotiations that, yeah, it can't just be sold and flipped. I mean, and that's going to be standards that, you know, we're also going to get from the county who's overseeing this project, that it can't be that.
Right. Any other comments from council? No. Okay. Do we have any public comment, written comment on this, Tina?
No written comment.
And any hands raised online, Rose?
We have no hands raised online.
All right, thank you. Well, I think if we don't have no public comment and we have no further council comments, I would entertain a motion to adopt a resolution accepting the grant funding provided by the Year 2 Permanent Local Housing Allocation Funds and agreeing to utilize the funding for affordable and eligible housing activities. Do I have a motion?
So move.
Moved by Councilmember Vandenberg.
Second.
Seconded by Councilmember Papineau. Tina, may I have a roll call vote, please?
Vice Mayor Sandu,
Aye.
Councilmember Papineau,
Aye.
Councilmember Vandenberg,
Aye.
Councilmember Lozano,
Aye.
Mayor Farmer.
Aye. Motion passes 5-0. Thank you, Mr. Hoffman. We appreciate the presentation. Moving on to item I, communication. Do we have any communication this evening?
Not this evening.
All right. Item J, city clerk's report.
Nothing this evening.
All right. Item K, comments by staff. Mr. Hines?
Yes, Lorenzo Hines, city manager. We've got a number of staff that are out due to spring break, so they're spending time with their families, but we still have some staff present here at the meeting. Before I pass the baton on to the staff, I just need to clarify for the members of council and for the public who may have watched the earlier meeting. I did confirm with the city manager in Elk Grove that they are still meeting virtually. I just confirmed with the City of Lodi's website that they are meeting virtually, and that was confirmed by a text from one of their council members as well. So the cities around us are still meeting virtually. I have a weekly meeting with the South County city managers, and I will discuss this matter and perhaps their timing for opening up council meetings when we meet this week. So I wanted the public and I wanted the council to have that information. I'm going to pass it on to our Director of Parks and Rec, Armando Solis, and to give an update.
Good evening, Council, Mayor and City Council. Just a couple of things that I didn't add to Lorenzo's COVID list because of the changes today. We're putting up our volleyball nets back up in case somebody asks, and we're continuing to take registrations for our T-ball program. So those are two things that were mentioned. Thank you.
Very good, very good. Armando, are we too old to get a T-ball team amongst the council and the executive team?
I think it would have to be a wiffle ball team, not a T-ball team.
Okay, all right, all right. Well, always looking for team-oriented experiences. Thank you, Director Solis. Councilmember Lozano.
Yeah, just real quick for Director Solis, I haven't had a chance to reach out to Galt Youth Baseball, Jason. Have you heard anything about how the registration went and what that looks like?
They're still taking registrations. They have tryouts on Friday and Saturday. They have 2 complete teams for 2 different divisions. So, you know, our numbers are low for our T-ball too. I think people are half and half. Yeah, I'm ready to go, and the other half are ready to stay home or still want to stay home.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, well, that's good. I mean, that's a good sign. That's probably 50, 60 girls, it sounds like, for softball.
Yeah, and we're still working with them, and we're helping them advertise for that. And
awesome.
So they'll start on Friday and Saturday with tryouts.
Yeah, I have it in my to-do list to reach out to him this week and see if I can't offer any additional assistance. So thank you. I appreciate it, Mr. Solis.
No problem.
Very good. Let's go to Interim Police Chief Brian Kalinowski.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Just a couple updated items. Some questions keep being asked about the catalytic converter thefts in the community, and it's actually nationwide. But as you know, at the end of February, we made an arrest of 2 subjects involved in the catalytic converter theft and recovered a couple of catalytic converters. It's important to know that the salvage value of the metals inside sort of the honeycomb of those catalytic converters is what's driving these thefts. They can get 3 to 7 grams of these metals that go for $2,000 an ounce. So if you got 7 grams a time, you need 4 catalytic converters and you can score yourself about $2,000. So that's what keeps driving this issue. We continue to be vigilant. We had another case where we tried to do an identity and have not been successful. We have a good lead on that, but we, like the rest of the communities around us, Elk Grove, Citrus Heights, has had recent media about the same thing. And we've even had staff a victim of it within the building. So we continue to address that issue. So, and we do know, and folks need to know that the replacement of those catalytic converters can cost thousands of dollars depending on the make and model of your vehicle. So that's something to be aware of. Also on March 4th, and we pushed this information on Facebook, but I'm just repeating it for the public that may not have access. We had a shooting within the 400 block of A Street where a victim received non-life-threatening wounds, was treated at the hospital and released. We don't believe the victim was actually the intended target. We believe it was his son who was standing out front with him. And the investigation's ongoing. We believe that's gang related. And then lastly, on Friday, we had information that we obtained, some intel that, as you know, in a lot of the Bay Area specifically, but in Sacramento, there's been a lot of vehicle sideshow activity. We received information that they were actually going to meet in Galt and try something different. So we staffed up with CHP for that. We made numerous stops. We're very proactive. We knocked down the event, but we did stop vehicles as far away as Turlock. So the word was out. They had identified 4 locations to participate. 3 of those were in the city of Galt. But as a result of that, we had 1 DUI arrest and no sideshow activity. So with that, that's all I have to report. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you, Chief. Mr. Hoffman, Director Hoffman, any more to add? I know you've had a busy night.
No, I've used up my word quota for the night. Thank you all. Have a great night.
Very good. Harriet Steiner, our city attorney.
Hi, I just wanted to let you know that there are several bills pending in the legislature right now that would take some of the distance participation that we've been doing over the last year and merge that into the Brown Act to be able to do sort of mixed meetings, both in person and distance as we come out of the pandemic. And so we're monitoring that. And I think, you know, when things get closer and we can see which ones look like they're going to pass and which ones not, we'll report back on that. But we can give you more information on that if you're interested.
Very good. That's encouraging. Thank you, Harriet. Thank you. Let's see. Tina Hubert, anything from the city clerk's office?
Nothing this evening, thank you.
All right. Rose Rodacker, any report?
I have nothing tonight, thank you.
All righty, very good. Mr. Mayor, that concludes staff comments.
Thank you. We will move on to comments by council members, future agenda items. We'll start with our Vice Mayor, Mr. Sandhu.
First of all, I would like to thank you all staff, including the city manager, Mr. Hines. Great job. All the reports. Thank you for that. I also like to thank you, the public comment. All the citizens, whoever come to the public comments is very important for me. I believe it's very important for all the other council members. And I'm also very happy we are in a red tier. So that's where we can do more things. I'm happy. And good night for everybody. Thank you. Have a nice.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Councilmember Papanow.
No, I don't have a lot. Just thank you, Director Hoffman. Very thorough reports tonight. Chief Kalinowski, to you and the department. Keep up the good work. Good news. Same with Director Solis. Keep it up. Glad to see you're on top of it as we emerge from, well, frankly, this nonsense of shutdowns. Have a good night, everybody.
Thank you, sir. Councilmember Vandenberg.
Thank you, Mayor. I would like to echo those comments. Thank you to staff for all of the reports. It's quite clear from reading them every couple of weeks. It's not easy to put together that much material. So thank you for that. Thank you, Mr. Kalinowski, for being proactive. It's very appreciated. And you know, I hope that as we're getting to the more open tiers, that the city would be as proactive as possible, as pushing out to the citizens and in social media, so that people may not be aware that T-ball and items like that are available to them. So the more we can push out, even us as council members, if you do social media, push that out to help the citizens out. That's all I have.
Thank you, Councilmember. Councilmember Lozano.
Yeah, just real briefly, I'm going to just echo everything that my colleagues have mentioned about staff and the hard work they're doing, and certainly you know, the police department, and we've had a rash of calls for service, I think, that have probably gone up, but so the proactive work is really appreciated, and thank you for Mr. Solis for working with our Galt Youth Baseball and the softball program and pushing that information out. I see it all the time. I just hadn't had an update about what the status was. So thank you all. Real quick, SACOG is doing a regional trail. I'm going to get the wording right here. Stand by. A regional parks and trails strategic development plan. And I've passed it on to the city manager to get a survey out to our community. And essentially what this is that the 6-county region is really looking at how we're interconnecting trails and how what that does for our recreational opportunities. Now, I know we're kind of on an island out here, but just putting, I took the survey tonight before the council meeting, and it's really quick, takes about 5 minutes. And what they're really asking for is what your modes of recreation are. And you even have the opportunity on our map in our city to identify areas that for cycling or jogging or running, areas that aren't safe to do that. And so once this plan is developed, then they'll have a regional plan and they'll set priorities about what's important for putting the plan in motion. And so I think the more input our citizens give, the more effect we're going to have, and the more resources we'll be able to provide. Now, I think with some of our housing development that's coming, it's going to make it a little easier to connect places. But I believe that if our citizens speak their voices now, we'll be able to at least have some influence on it. So I pass it on to the city manager. I'm thinking maybe through the social media and our lists and mailing lists that we have, that I think we'll get it out to enough people. So that is really all I had. I did have one other question just popped into my mind. What day is the CSD going to have the second vaccine program? Because I've heard a couple of different dates, 24th and 26th. And
right. And so I would prefer to work with the school district and CSD, and we'll release that through CSD's normal channels.
Okay. Yeah, I appreciate that.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
And that's all I have. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Councilmember. First, I want to thank Craig for his thorough presentation again, and doing a good job with presenting that. I'm really enjoying his methodology with the way he does things. And thank you, Interim Chief Kalinowski, for the update on the thefts and things, and the work you guys did about the thwarting the planned event. That was I like to hear those updates and things you guys are doing. And I know it's frustrating for all of you that have been a victim of the catalytic converter. I have a friend who was, and I know it's going to take a community effort. The PD can't solve this on their own. It's going to take community to be involved, and see something, say something, and let's just keep working hard and do what we can to help our PD with that. Armando, I was going to ask you, do you know how the turnout was for the signups for the softball now that GYB took over the girls softball? Was there a good turnout for signups?
They have 2 teams in each division at this point, was the last thing that Jason had told me.
Okay.
So they're still taking the registrations. We'll know by Friday. And I can report those numbers at the next meeting.
I was just curious. Thank you. And I wanted to thank everybody who's watching, anybody who's watching who attended the event for Officer Gibson and Harold. It was a very good turnout for all those people that came to honor him with the ride. So thank you for all those people. And Miss Steiner, I have a question for you. In regards to a hybrid meeting, there's nothing that Brown Act would say that we can't do a hybrid where we have a limited amount of people allowed in to the chambers and allow still phone in comment. I mean, we still allowed to operate in some kind of hybrid format under the current COVID guidelines. Am I wrong?
No, that's correct.
Okay. Regards to your comments, Mr. Hines, when I spoke to a council member in Lodi, and he said this was probably a couple of weeks ago, and they said they were going to be transitioning to live meetings. So apparently that didn't happen yet. In regards to the Elk Grove comment, I meant that City Hall was open for Elk Grove. I don't think that I stated that they were actually meeting. And if I did, I misspoke, but because I have no information of that, only that City Hall was open. So I just wanted to clarify that. So I think the only last thing I want to add is just the bad news for you, Armando and Mr. Hines, is that you're not going to be able to have a softball team or t-ball team until we can go back to live meetings. You can't play ball. You can't do council meetings. So sorry. All right. Everybody have a good night, and we'll see you next meeting. Good night all.
Right.
Meeting
Bye.
adjourned.